So it looks like we're doing okay now, and we're live. Excellent.
We
Hi,
are.
everybody. Thank you for joining us.
I've got my lemsip at the ready, so that'll get us through.
I think I'm expecting a drink to get delivered any minute now. I've got some what I call not gin, because
Yeah.
it's zero alcohol gin. Very
Oh,
nice.
okay. I've seen that actually. I think Gordon's
It's all
do a
right.
version of that. One of my
That's
exes
what it
used
is.
to drink that.
Yeah, I've got the pink one, so a glass of that should be delivered to my
Question
very
is
hands
though, with
shortly.
gin, it can cause
Yeah,
depression if you have too much gin. How does the alcohol free do the same or not?
it's never had that effect on me, but then I'm full of antidepressants all the time, so who knows?
Yeah. It's one of those things, but no, it's
Yeah,
great to have you on again. Obviously, I think you were my first guest on this actually, Tracy.
I
Thinking
was.
back,
I
and we've had
was.
a few
Yeah,
since, which is amazing.
it's
And I think
brilliant.
it's one of the things that I love doing every week, and that's why I felt really bad on Tuesday because it was just I
Oh,
knew I couldn't come on camera, and I didn't want to let people down. But I'm glad we could reschedule it to today. And yeah, it's all about growing your YouTube channel, and obviously you've got quite a following now, which is brilliant.
I
How
know.
what advice have you got for us?
Well, first of all, it's as Sean Cannell says, you've just got to press record. I mean, that's it. That's the hardest bit, is getting that first button press. What I've been doing recently is gathering all the questions you wonderful people have been sending to me, and I am actually in the process of making lots of little short videos. There's a couple of them out already on
Okay.
tips. So I've already done a video that went out, was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. It's blurred on what my filming equipment is. Some of you had seen a sneak preview of that already, but I've uploaded a better version. I've just put one
Oh,
out
because I
on
think
how
you
to,
did one a few weeks ago, similar to that, with all of your
yeah,
recording equipment
I've
and stuff like
tidied it
that.
up a bit, and I've also just put one out on using music on YouTube. It's all very me. It's a little bit sort of, little bit tongue in cheek, but it has come from a place of the feedback that I've had on my own videos, and also from what I found through my research, because I do spend at least a couple of hours a day watching the likes of Think Media, vidIQ, Nate Black, and Nick Nimmin, all those sort of people. So I'm
Yeah,
just trying to refine what people like us showcasing our crafts on YouTube need to know, and trying to kind of condense it and share it very
yeah.
specifically aimed at crafts. So I think I've got a few kind of urban myths that we can dispel first of all.
Are we going to
Do you
talk
want me to?
algorithm?
I don't give a stuff about the algorithm, to be honest. For a start, there is no algorithm, so
Yeah,
there's hundreds of them. Do
yeah, yeah,
you want me to?
definitely, if
Do
not more.
you want me to talk algorithm first?
Well, I think that's
We
the
do that
thing that
one.
for me, when you first get into YouTube, people have got this
Okay,
big mystery about the YouTube algorithm and how to trigger it. But I agree with you from watching other videos.
you
There's no
can't.
way to trigger it. It's about, for me, it's about
It's
connecting with
it's
the
not.
audience.
Absolutely, it's not how it works. The algorithm doesn't go, "Ooh, I like your channel. Hello, Jenna. I like your channel. I like your video. I'm going to show it to people." It doesn't
Yeah,
work like that. And also, it changes almost daily. I mean, they're constantly tweaking it. And it is, as I said, lots and lots of algorithms, all doing different things. It's very hard. Even the people who work for YouTube, who put videos out, I think they
yeah,
find it hard to explain it. But the way they try to explain it is that all the algorithms are seeking to do is watch audience behavior.
yeah,
So, if what audiences like the sort of thing that you're putting out, so that maybe they'll suggest your videos to those sort
yeah,
of people who like that sort of thing. They're working more on satisfaction, on reactions, on I mean, it will pick up things like the length of time you watch your video, people watch your video for, all that sort of stuff. But it's so much bigger picture. It doesn't push the videos to people,
yeah.
because people say, "What can I do to make the algorithm singular push
You see, I'm
my
a
video
classic one
to
for that.
people?"
I'll be honest. I'm like, this video isn't getting many views. Why has YouTube stopped pushing it out?
It
Because
doesn't push it
obviously,
out.
no, and
People
that's the
pull it.
thing where it gets confusing. Yeah,
Exactly. People think there's this magic trick to it, and there is. And that is, forget about the algorithm. Mostly. I'll come back to why I'm saying mostly. In fact, I've got a video that I'm going to edit probably tomorrow on this, so you know this is a good heads up for you all. Um, the way I look at this whole algorithm or algorithms thing is there's a couple of yes, it'll do that, Laura, because you're your own best
I've
audience.
had a few of my own
Um,
recommended. Yeah.
yeah, that
I
happens.
always watch them though when it recommends it. I thought, is there something wrong with that video? Is that why it's recommending it? But
That's paranoia, Andy.
it
So I
is.
do it. I get it because I've got 3 channels, so it'll recommend them on other channels.
Yeah.
So it'll recommend my other channel to me. It's recommended this video that I put out about music on YouTube, which is sitting on my YouTube for Grown-ups channel.
Okay.
And it's recommended that to me on mini scenes. So yeah, so what we need to do is really first and foremost think about audience. So the questions you have to ask yourself is, who are your audience? That's your first question. Now, that is really easy to find out
Yeah.
because YouTube tells us. I know that well over half of my audience are in America.
Yeah.
There's a huge number in the UK as well, and then a few in various other places. About 85% of them are female.
Hmm.
The majority of them are between the ages of 45 and 65. Again,
Sounds
a
like
few
you've got
older,
a
a few
very
younger.
similar demographic to me, actually.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's who you're talking to. There's your start point. So know who your audience are. I'm talking to middle-aged ladies in America and England, mostly. Okay. So, and I know that.
Yeah.
So that's fine because they're people like me. So I talk to them like I would talk to my friends because
Hmm.
you're all my friends, guys. We'll stop saying guys. But you're all my
Yeah,
friends.
that's one of my issues as well, and I think
That's a
that's
big.
YouTube
I'll
talk. I
explain.
think that's part of the problem. Is when we first started watching YouTube, the first intro you hear on most videos is "Hey guys," and that's sort of
I know.
it's a very American intro. But actually, I think as time's changing, it's not necessarily
Wrong.
as you looking at both aspects of your audience, and especially if most of your
Yeah.
audience is female, it could be a bit offensive.
There's another thing to that as well. I mean, I walk into the museum, where, as you know, I help out on weekends, and even if the girls are there, I'll go, "Hi, guys,"
Yeah,
because that's what you do when it's your mates. It's an
yeah,
instinctive thing to do, and in England, we do call a gang of ladies guys sometimes.
yeah,
It's just a collective term for friends, isn't it? In some states in America, I've come across the fact that it is very definitely male. So
okay.
you're straight away, and in a lot of other countries too. We've definitely got a representative from Denmark here. Jenna, can you enlighten us? Does the term, the Danish word for guys, the Danish equivalent, is that as unisex as it's becoming in Britain? I don't know. Waits for Jenna to reply. It's a Danish
If
representative. He might be AFK at the moment, actually. I'm not sure. Um, but yeah, in some countries, it is still very unisex.
yeah,
The other thing is, and this is a massive tip for you, for a start, you watch people like Nick Nimmin, Nate Black, what's his name, Rob from vidIQ.
yeah,
They never say guys. In fact, they don't say, "Hi, welcome back to my channel." They just start with, "We're talking about this and we're going to do it now."
yeah,
Straight in. Now, Peeps is quite a sweet one, but again, it says, see, Rin's just said Peeps. Peeps is
yeah,
nice because that's just an abbreviation of people. But again, people in other countries watching it, and also how is YouTube translating it because it's got this automatic translation thing now.
yeah.
So although it's a really nice one, and I use the term Peeps quite a lot, it's just something to think about. Is how is this auto translate thing,
And
which is
don't get
still
me wrong,
very
I wouldn't be too formal either and say good afternoon, ladies and
good
gentlemen, or anything
afternoon.
like that, because
You can't
that could
say that
also be
either.
off-putting.
Do not say good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, because what about transgender people?
And that too, yeah,
Non-binary? Do you know what I do when I put out announcements at the museum? Good afternoon, everyone.
yeah,
Done. And then nobody can possibly be upset or offended or feel excluded. I just go, "Hi, everyone," or "Hi, gang." That didn't go down very well when I did that on the over the tannoy. But there we go. But the other thing is, think about it. I know I've had a lot of people say that they they feel like they're my friend sat next to me while I'm chattering away and telling them what I'm making and just talking it through. Because you know me, I waffle and I chatter away.
Yeah.
Talk to them in the singular because it encourages that personal feel, that connection. So I've
I
stopped
like that
saying,
suggestion from Rin there. Resin Freaks has a good ring to it.
and it's not
Again, you
gender
might offend a
specific.
few.
Take the S off the end though. Singular.
Yeah,
Honestly, I've always used to say hi everyone, and I've stopped doing it. I just say hi, or I don't say it at all. I just go straight in.
yeah.
Now, there's a very, very famous YouTuber called Call Me Chris with a K.
Okay.
Millions of subscribers. She's a former hairdresser, I think, but she's got a degree in law, and she's officially a comedian by trade. But her channels, when she's doing the comedy thing, she says, "Hello, you beautiful, crazy person," and it's all in the singular. It's like, "We're going to be looking at today some horrible crime because I know you love it, you crazy freak," and
Yeah,
it's all in the singular. Now, millions of subscribers can't be wrong. There you go. There's people in chat heard of her. Erica has.
yeah.
She's massive. She's a Canadian lady, and her, I think, husband to be, as he is now, her fiance, is a massive YouTuber as well.
Okay.
And yeah, they talk to you in the singular.
And I
Listen to
think
Nick
that makes
Nimmin,
sense because most of
singular.
the time when we watch a YouTube video, we don't have loads of people around us. It's not really a team viewing exercise. It's not like you're all going to sit down and
Yeah,
watch a family film. It's normally to learn something new,
yeah,
to research something, and you normally do that on your own, usually.
you do. And also, I think particularly in the sort of niche that we're in, we like to feel it's like I'm talking to you, Andy. I know we've got an audience here
Yeah,
of lovely friends in chat. So we're talking to all of them because we can actually see them. But normally, you're talking to that one person who's sat watching your video,
yeah.
and they're a fellow crafter, and they like to connect. They like to feel it's that relatability.
Yeah.
So try that, everyone. I'm trying it at the moment, talking
I
in the singular.
I think as well, some of my videos, what I've done
Mm,
better at retention are where I've actually introduced myself because I don't do that on every video. But I've noticed actually just because again, I've been trying to go
mm,
through every little nook and cranny on my YouTube channel to think what's working, what isn't. And actually some the ones where I actually say, hi, it's Andy. This is my channel and this is what we're going to be doing, seem to get longer retention just by introducing myself because it feels
yes.
more personal.
Yeah, I very rarely actually do that. I have done on some videos. The tip for you with using that, and I think you're already doing it from what I've seen, Andy, is you don't necessarily open with that.
Yeah.
It works for Wendy, but I think for most people, um, it's like go straight in. Right, this is what we're doing today. So you're promising that you're going to deliver on what the thumbnail and the title said,
Yeah.
and then introduce yourself. And if you have got a jingle thing and images and little intro sequence, keep it short and do it after you've
Yeah.
given that promise that
And I
this is what
think
we're going to do today.
that's one of the things I've noticed because I've
Mm,
been researching not only resin as a niche, I've been looking at the most
mm.
popular videos, and you would not believe the views beekeeping videos get. Just put it out there, but they get loads. Um, um,
And
and
and jet
and most
washing
of those is
patios.
yeah, but it's the same though. The first 20, 30 seconds, it's kind of just say, right, this is what we're going to be doing in this video, or this is what you're going to get from that video. Then they go into maybe a 10, 15-second intro to the channel
Yeah,
and then straight into the
keeping it short.
project. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's it. That's it. And that is how you hold attention. Now, I completely, this is one of my biggest revelations. I spent ages putting a beautiful intro together because I'd seen people like pouring your heart out.
Yeah.
Now, she's always had that beautiful opening sequence. But the thing is, she's been around for so long, frankly, it could be a picture of her with a bucket on her head.
And they'll
And
still
she would
watch.
it would
Yeah.
people would still watch, and it is but also what she's puts out, it's very, very short and it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
So she's one of the few that it works for. But you look at Claire's Crafty Corner, you look at Daniel Cooper, look at Steve McDonald, they're all silver play button people,
Yeah.
no intro sequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the
No,
minute
it's
and the
true.
minute
And I think
the minute
that's transformed as well. I think some of their earlier
mm,
videos, there was And that's
Yes,
what
in
tells me
some cases.
actually you're right in what you're saying, and that's where we should all adapt. And I think most of us, when we start a
Yeah,
YouTube channel, we think about what we originally saw, which might have been that 10-20 second intro.
a few
We
years
spent
ago.
ages creating that and then
I
realize,
did.
ah, why did I just waste all that time?
It took me ages to ditch mine because I mean, it wasn't brilliant. I've seen some far better than I've ever put together. But it did take me ages, and I was so precious about it. And the minute I ditched it, that first 30 seconds retention shot up.
Yeah,
I thought, "Oh, there we go then." So I've got a bit that I put at the end, but the only reason I put that at the end is because usually we're doing a video premiere and we want a couple of minutes for people to say goodbye and things. So
yeah,
otherwise I wouldn't bother with that either. But I think that kind of works. People have typically, when they're watching the videos normally, they've clicked off by the time you get to that end bit.
yeah,
So it is a bit surplus to requirements, but for when we've got ones that we're putting out as live premieres, and I never know which ones I'm going to and which I'm not. So I
yeah.
always put that end bit on there so it's there if we need it. But yeah, it's I think this is the thing. We need to think very carefully about holding our audience's attention. First, it's
It's about
grabbing
that
it.
hook, isn't it? That's what I've heard it termed as a lot. It's the hook
Hook.
to
Yeah,
keep
it
them
is.
watching. And I think the aim is to get your
Mm,
retention above 75-80% for that first
yeah,
15 seconds, so you don't get that massive dip in your retention.
yeah. And the thing is, if you'll notice that if you have that drop as small as possible, you tend to retain it all along. So
Yeah,
if you so I've got one video where it only drops about 10% and it stays at 90,
yeah.
which I've only achieved that once.
Just
But
to
whatever
say as
it's
well,
dropped
Lisa,
to.
fair point. This video isn't sponsored by Huel. It's just a T-shirt that I like, that I got with the Huel that I do sometimes consume, but it's no way sponsored.
No, none of this is sponsored. We're not important enough, Andy.
No, not yet. Not one day. One day, Huel's going to be on the phone and say, "Can we sponsor your weekly live?"
I know. I'm waiting on DJI, but I don't think I can't see that happening. Oh, hi, Sally. Um, yeah, so this is the overall trick. We've got to think about our audience. So I've just this other channel where my how to do YouTubey bits are all going to live. I've just done one where I've had a go at doing a clickbaity opening
Oh,
because I have
okay.
found, and it's very intentional though, because as you may have noticed, I don't believe in clickbait titles. Well, unless there's some truth in it.
Yeah,
Like, "Way, this will change YouTube forever. I've got a new mouse." It's not gonna work, is it? But I have found something that genuinely I've done a load of research, so has my YouTube coach, Kirk. We can't find anybody else who's hit on something that actually is a bit of a cheat code.
okay.
It
Interesting.
Yes. So I'll have the video out within a couple of days. I'll put it in a Discord group first, so you have like a day's head start on it, and you can all get a look at it. But it opens with, "This will change YouTube forever."
Yeah.
And I
And
think it
everyone's like,
does.
"Ooh."
Yeah, and usually it'll be, "Oh, because 'cause I've got a new tripod," or
Yeah.
it's something really lame.
I'm putting glitter in this coaster. Woo!
"Woo!" Or, "I've got some new stickers." Yes,
Yeah,
and so, I don't readily say something is a game changer or whatever. You know that new resin that's out,
yeah.
that quantum stuff? That
Quantum.
gen I've done clickbaity titles on that because they're not clickbait. They are absolutely genuine.
You
That
see,
is a game changer.
I think you have to still be true to yourself though as well. So
You
it's
do,
like
you
I
do.
watch some of the creators out there, and I know they're more entertaining than me. Don't get me wrong, because that is their personality on camera is very different to me. If I did what, for example, Nick Zametti, he's a perfect example. He is
He's
very
fabulous.
entertaining to watch. Now, if I tried to do a video like that and my regular viewers saw that, they'd be like, "What's wrong with Andy?" So
Yeah.
you've still got to remain true, I think, to yourself.
I've met Nick, and that's what he's like.
Yeah,
Seriously.
yeah,
When
yeah,
I met him, it was towards the end of the day at Makers Central when he was absolutely knackered probably because it was on the second day at the end of the day, and I found him on his stand where they were selling Zametti t-shirts and all that sort of thing, and make a central regalia, you know.
Yeah.
And I said, hello, Nick. I said, it's lovely to meet you. My name's Tracey, and I'm new to YouTube, and I want to say thank you for inspiring people like me. And I shook his
Yeah.
hand, and we had a photo taken together. And you could see he was tired, but he was still in this sort of cheeky, crazy. He just that's him. He just exaggerates it for the
Yeah. Yeah.
cameras, and that's what you've got to do. You've got to find what is really you, because you've got to be able to sustain it. And if people really hate watch you, then you've got to try and think of something else. I mean, there
And
are
don't get me wrong, I played with my style. I don't know if you've watched some of my videos, but it's like I did a 10-minute bloom video, 10 steps to the perfect bloom or something like that. And in that one, I was a little bit more creative, like lying on the settee and stuff like that, where it was a bit different at certain moments. And that seemed to have done quite well. So I think that one got just over 2,000 views now, compared to my average of 300-400 views. So again, that tells me that maybe what I should be doing is, rather than focusing on getting 3 or 4 videos out a week, maybe just doing 2, but spending more time on planning them and preparing them.
That's kind of what I'm doing now. I'm not doing all sorts of funky bits of B-roll and things, because well, I might in my other channel, but for me it doesn't fit with what I'm doing, and it's well, I could. I mean, I've put bits in where I've done fishy interludes, and oh look, there's a squirrel on the fence, and you know, and people do seem to like that. I think the idea that Jenna's back. Jenna, question for you. In Denmark, I presume you'll have a similar a word that means guys. So Jenna's English is exceptionally good. You know the term we use, guys, and over in England here we kind of mean everybody with that. But in Denmark, do you have a word that is normally collectively for a group of men that is getting used for just kind of groups of everybody, or is it still a very separate thing, male and female collective terms? I hope he understands what I mean there. I was a bit waffly, wasn't it? But we use the term guys for everything here, but other countries don't. I'm just wondering if you have an equivalent in Denmark. Or would a group of women get offended if you called them guys?
Yeah.
Give them a chance to think about that. What was I saying? Yes, so I think there's a whole trend change with YouTube, and it again quite niche specific. I think that a lot of the a lot of the audience of YouTube, there's an older demographic watching YouTube now, and for some of us, it's because we were kind of, I won't say brought up with it, because there was no internet when I was a kid, but we've been with it for a long time, and also, there's a generation of people who of like my age who are retiring, who are more techie and just do watch YouTube. You know, it is just the sort of thing. No, he's not
Jenna's
sure.
not sure, looking at it.
I'll leave that one with you, Jenna. We're just wondering whether people in some countries might be offended if they were called guys when they're a bunch of girls. Anyway, yes. So the tide is changing somewhat, and this is why we've suddenly got this huge rash of channels talking about why you should start a YouTube channel when you're in your 50s or whatever. Those weren't there a year ago, because I was thinking of starting one and then missed the boat on it because everybody else did. This means that different paces of videos work. We no longer have to be or bam, 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 like Mr. Beast style. Does everybody know who Mr. Beast is? I bet none of you lot
Well,
really
he's just
habitually.
given away $10 million if you don't.
Oh, he's always doing it. Yeah, he
These
does a
days.
lot.
But yeah.
He does a lot of stuff for charity. It's quite a phenomena. But his videos are very bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
And that became very much a style of YouTube video. Everybody wanted it quick fire, fast paced, for people with very short attention spans, just to get their sudden fix of like adrenaline.
Yeah.
And for some niches, I'm sure that still works. But I think because there's older people watching it more, there's increasingly as well people watching it on tellies.
Yeah.
Have you looked at your statistics, Andy, to see if how
I
many
have.
of
I think
your
it was
viewers?
something like 76% watch on the TV rather than on the phone, which
Yeah,
shocked me. And that's why I've started
and
adding
me.
like a QR code in, because
Yes,
it's just easier for people to
keep
actually
forgetting to do that.
subscribe. But actually
Mm.
going back to Mr. Beast style and things like that, kids love him because of that pace and that quickiness and that entertainment value. But I think if you had that on a tutorial or a how-to video, it would send you crazy. And I think that's also what you've got to think about is what works in one niche. There might be certain elements you can take away, but it won't necessarily all work in this niche.
Exactly. And the thing is, you think about go back to our demographic,
Yeah,
mostly middle-aged ladies. We don't want that. It'd just give us a headache. And also, the whole point of what we do, we're doing crafts.
yeah,
And when you craft, you sit down and you relax. And that's kind of what we want from our videos. If we want to know how to do something quick, like fix my washing machine or, change my spark plugs, then you want a quick and to the point video. But if you're doing something like what we do, I mean, would you video flower arranging in Mr. Beast style? You just wouldn't, would you?
it'd be entertaining, but no.
Well, yeah. I mean, it works for YouTube Shorts. I know some of us do like little, really condensed and snippety bits of our craft because we can do a bit of the making and the final bit, the final reveal, and then in 1 minute, and then it directs people to the main video. I mean, that can
Yeah,
work. But I think because people are sitting down with a cup of tea of an evening, watching it on the telly, they are prepared to watch longer videos. And we don't have the same, they call it retention editing when you keep jumping scene to scene and really quick fire. We,
yeah,
we don't need to do that. However, what you found with that video of yours is probably a good example of what you might call gentle retention editing.
yeah.
It's like you watch Steve McDonald, he's probably one of the quicker paced resin crafters,
Yeah.
and he
His
does he
average
does a
his
bit.
average video is about 8 to 10 minutes, actually.
Yeah, it is. Probably 10 because he's probably aiming for over 8 because of
Yeah.
the mid-roll ads, but yeah, they're short, so 8 to 10. So, and what he does is he changes camera angle quite a lot. And occasionally you'll see him like posing with the earrings or whatever at the end. But that camera to camera, so you've got different camera angles. That's a form of retention editing as
Yeah.
well, and it definitely keeps your attention. I keep forgetting to do it. I have got 2 camera arms here, and I keep forgetting to do it.
Yeah, I
But
tend to only record with one phone. So I've got a specific phone for my resin recording. And that's the thing. Do I then move it around onto 2 different stands to get that different angle? Or it depends on the video, I suppose, and if you feel you
mm,
need it. And I think that's the thing. I think it's
yeah,
also good to have a mix. So some of my videos are over an hour. Others are like 8 to 9 minutes. And I
mm,
think it depends on what project you're doing
yeah,
and if you can keep people's attention and if it's genuinely interesting enough or they need to learn that information to do those stages properly, then let it be as long as it needs to be.
yeah,
But
I
again,
agree.
it's like my ostrich lamp. That was 5 hours worth of footage. I couldn't have a 5-hour video on there. And yes, I could have shown you how to intricately carve each and every detail, but I think that would have been too much and it wouldn't have held people's attention. And this is where it's about finding that balance where you're getting
Yeah.
enough across that people know what they need to do, but also not making it too long.
Yeah, I think you're right. As I've often said, that the correct length for a video is as long as it takes to tell the story
Yeah.
without all the silences and gaps and boring bits. So it takes as long as long as it's holding the interest throughout. And that different camera angle. I mean, I've just kept my old phone. It's an iPhone 13, so that's when I do the two. I've lost it at the moment. That's another. I don't know where it is. It's probably down the back of the settee. But that's why I'm not doing 2 camera angles at the moment. But I have
Yeah.
got my little Osmo Pocket 3 that I treated myself to that I could do it with. I have filmed a second angle with my iPad once as well. Um,
Wow.
but those little different camera angles, they definitely make a difference, which is why I don't know why. Well, yeah, I keep forgetting to do it, but I
Even
should.
if you introduce it as B-roll, though, is one of the things that
Yeah,
I've seen done as well, where you've got one standard long, let's say, tutorial, but then you might have a camera angle a bit like this, where it's face on, and 2 or 3 times throughout the video, you're saying a different point or just zooming yourself
yeah,
in a little bit. It does
yeah.
tend to retain people. And I've just noticed actually, Erica's got a question as well that she's put in there as
Oh,
well.
go on,
Is it
Erica.
is it better to have a different intro unique to each video or the same sort of thing that's kind of branded?
Quick answer to that is don't have an intro. Just
Okay.
don't have an intro. I did every permutation of videos, um, intros that you could imagine, and honestly, my views rocketed the minute I ditched it.
Right. Okay.
Seriously, don't have an intro. It's pointless. That's the point. I know. I also tried putting it further in, like Wendy does. Wendy does it so well. Her editing is so beautiful. It works for her.
Yeah.
But when I tried to do that, you could actually see the initial drop, people watching, people watching. Oh, it's a jingle. Just don't have an intro.
Yeah.
Honestly, don't have an intro. There are yes, I know there are people out there that it works um, for various reasons. Like I say, Wendy's editing is just spectacular. Um, pouring your heart out, it's because she's always had one. But just look at Claire, look at Daniel, look at Steve McDonald.
Yeah.
They're our current ones that are blowing up. No intro. Just
No,
don't
it's
have an
true.
intro.
One thing I do like for example, the ones that I have seen with a short intro is, let's say they've got a members channel or something like that, where that just pops up, thank you to the members, because again,
Nope.
sometimes we forget to say that in a video.
Do it further on down the video. Don't
Yeah.
forget, if you get people watching your first 30 seconds to a minute, they're probably going to watch the rest. You've caught their interest. So if you're
Yeah.
going to do that, you know, Steve McDonald, his coffee board comes up down the side about halfway
Yeah.
through the video. They do that sort of thing. I've been thinking about doing that as well. Not at the start. Again,
Yeah.
Julie at Pouring Your Heart Out is a great example of everything I've just said not being true,
Yeah.
because she really breaks all of those rules. But because she's so big and she's been around for so long and so polished at what she does, it still works for her.
And I think
I
that's the
think,
key. Once you've got that
mm,
audience, do what you want,
yeah, you can,
because
yeah,
they aren't
exactly,
going anywhere. But when you're
exactly,
building, that's where it's slightly different, I think, while you're still trying to grow.
absolutely. And the other thing is as well, is that you're saving yourself some time.
Mm,
The things to really focus on are your thumbnail, your title, and the very first thing you say in your video, all flowing through.
yeah.
So you're giving people straight away, you're making it clear you're going to do what you promised at the start. And if you focus on doing that, you're halfway there already. And that is actually probably the easiest fix. Once you've got yourself a thumbnail template that works, just keep changing the words and the picture. Might have
Yeah.
noticed that's what I'm doing and it's working.
Yeah.
Um,
And don't get me
like
wrong,
puzzles.
I play around with them at the minute because I'm trying to find
I spent
the right
2 years
style of
playing them.
thumbnail that
Yeah,
I think works for me, that I can just change every time. And I think that's
yeah,
important. And every now and then, it's like the ostrich one I did. That was quite an entertaining, fun one, just to be a bit different and see if that grabbed people's attention a bit more. But you're right. I think you've got to keep it simple most of the time. Um,
yeah,
as few
definitely.
words as possible, just explaining
Maximum
what
4.
for is it. Okay.
Maximum
And I
4.
think you've got to sort of again reiterate what the video's about so that people don't
I
feel
see that.
cheated by it.
Yes. Yeah. So what you want is don't repeat. If we okay, let's cover thumbnails and titles then. So in your thumbnail, things to think about. First of all, what is your thumbnail going to look like on a screen? Where's my phone? That big, anyway. What's
Yeah.
it going to look like on a screen that big, and what's it going to look like on a screen that big? Okay, so make sure that whatever
Hey,
your
Suda as
words,
well. Suda's joined us in chat.
yeah, and Wendy, hi Wendy, hi
And
Johnny.
Wendy as
Oh,
well.
how many people we got on? We seem to have quite a lot. That's lovely.
29 we've peaked at so far. I'll
Lovely.
keep my eye on it. We're going to get over 30. I can feel
We
it.
are. We are. So yes, think about what's your thumbnail going to look like on that tiny screen. Can you read every word if you look at it on your phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Then think about what it's going to look like once it's blown up huge. How crisp is that image? By that I mean, always make sure whatever images that you're using in your thumbnail that you've upscaled them. So they're the crispest, sharpest, freshest looking image that you can possibly use. Nice lot of contrast, really sharp, crisp lines. Now, I very often use the images in my thumbnails. They're actual stills from my video, which a lot of
Yeah,
people will say is a bad idea. But I can download in 4K from my video editor. So the picture is already at Ultra HD. I can then chuck it into Canva, and upscale it further. So I
yeah.
upscale it as far as it will let me. I then remove the background on it and put it on my pretty lilac background because that's brighter than my craft mat, which is where the photo was usually taken. And sometimes I'll put a shadow behind it as well.
Just
But
on
that's how you make it go,
thumbnails as well.
"Doo!"
We've got a question on thumbnails as well, which is what's a good app to use to make thumbnails? I personally use Canva just
Canva.
because I think it's
Yeah,
so simple and easy, and there's about
yeah,
300 different templates on there that you can
yeah.
edit and pick from.
Yeah, I do. And I think a lot of the big YouTube gurus recommend Canva. A lot of big, very, very big marketing firms use it. Advertising companies use it. It's the way to go. And even the free version, you can do
Yeah,
so much with. It's unbelievable. So it's a fantastic starting point. And then the trick really, as I say, big bold fonts, not twiddly curly letters, big bold fonts, big bold image, preferably not your finished result,
yeah,
unless it's something that's going to make everybody go, how the hell did they do that?
yeah,
Then it might work. But you'll notice Claire's Crafty Corner, she's a good example. And she once said to me, just show your mold that you're going to use in your hands.
yeah.
So I've tried to take a bit of a lead on that. I'm showing usually the whatever the new product is that I'm going to be demonstrating. So like when I was demonstrating the quantum resin when that first appeared, two big close-ups of the bottles,
Yeah.
not the finished result, because that you want to keep people waiting for that.
Which
So
is
that's
something I'm quite
mm,
guilty of actually. A lot of my
yeah,
thumbnails, I do put the finished product in, and it does make sense not to do that because you want
sometimes.
people to stay till the end to see the finished product. Um,
Mm,
and again, that's where I think sometimes you could be doing yourself a disservice if you're sharing on multiple socials the finished piece as well, which is something I do. So I'll finish a piece and put the
mhm.
tutorials coming soon on my YouTube channel. But if people have already seen the finished picture, then maybe they won't bother to watch the video.
No, because I've seen, Steve McDonald do 10 of those or sort of whatever. Yeah, that can happen. I think with things like blooms, though, it might work
Mm,
because people are still all going, oh, I want to do one like that. Actually,
yeah.
one worked on me earlier, crystal resin art or something the channel's called. And it
Okay.
was a finished thing. And I was like, I want to see how to make that. I
Yeah.
have to say, though, I watched halfway through. I was very naughty. So I
And
went
then
back and
skip to the end.
halfway through, I thought, I can see what you're doing. Right. I know the rest of it. Let's have a quick look at the end. Done. And then I felt really bad about it and let it play again while I went and made a cup of tea, so she got her watch hours. But, yeah, I mean, I think that's what can happen.
And we've
Sometimes,
got
though.
31 in as well. So that was
Yeah.
brilliant to see. But also, just on that note as well, you mentioned there that you take
Mm,
sort of a screenshot from your video and sometimes use that as a
yeah,
thumbnail as if it was a
yeah.
bad thing. But if you don't set a thumbnail, what does YouTube do?
Yeah,
It
exactly that.
takes what it
The
thinks is the most interesting part of your video as a
Yeah.
still and uses that.
I think perhaps for our niche, because people will look at it and go, "Oh, I've got that mould," or,
Yeah.
"Gosh, a new resin," or then maybe it works. Um, I know for some channels it really wouldn't. I mean, the sort of thumbnails that have got like big graph, like an up and down graph and a win at YouTube thing, and
Yeah.
then the face. I mean, obviously, it, just somebody sat there going, isn't going to work. It's a different
No.
thing. But I think for our niche, because we can get people excited, that trinket tray mold, everybody's got one of those. I think if they haven't, they soon will have. Oh, you haven't?
I haven't yet. I'm gonna
You
get
will
one.
eventually. You will eventually. You know my one video that's gone berserk.
That's 7 different ways to do it. Yeah.
Just the trinket tray mold. And I think it's because everybody's gone, I've got that mold I could do with some ideas and dived in. Although, watch the space for this groundbreaking bit of thing I've got to show you that's coming out this week because I've
Okay.
analysed it and there's a lot more to it than that. But I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
Well, and
Uh,
actually, having done this thing, I know it's part of it. So
There's an
there's a lot to
interesting
be.
question as well come through from Lisa as well, not to sort of interrupt, but this is
Yeah.
quite an interesting one. Should you put all the same links in each video or keep it specific just to the products that you've used in that video?
I do a bit of both.
Okay.
There's because I've tried putting in, like, let's say that tumbler one that went out the other day. I could just put the Create and Bloom kit that I used and where you can get some more Apex resin from and the tumbler turner. And in the end, that is what I did. But I also put a link to my Amazon storefront. And the reason I did that is because people will invariably go, where did you get that lovely purple mat from? Where did you get your stirry things from? Where did you get your pots from?
Yeah.
And then you have to go and put it in anyway. So I used to have a great long list of links. I'm trying at the moment instead to use my Amazon storefront.
Okay.
However, there's another thing to be said about those links. Don't forget, I think I've touched on this in a live before. All those links provide you inadvertently with a load of keywords.
Yeah.
This is the bit where you do need to think about the YouTube algorithms. YouTube will look at your video and try and work out what it's about to show it to people. Now, it can sometimes take a while for it to do that working out. And the easier you can make it for YouTube to work out what the video is about, the better. Now, it will look at your video. It'll look at the words you use in it. It'll actually sort of watch your video and
Yeah.
go, it's about resin crafts. It's about making a bloom. Here you go. These people like this sort of thing. And, it will reach the right people. However, though keywords and tags and all that sort of thing aren't as massively vital, well, tags probably aren't as massively vital as they used to be. What they are useful for, and keywords particularly are, is for helping YouTube to understand what your video is about.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, if in your title you've used a couple of keywords, ours will typically be resin for beginners or something like that, won't it? It's that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Um, oh, it's about resin, says YouTube. A lot of other creators have to go into their video description, do a description, keyword rich, and try and get those keywords into the first few words because
Yeah.
that's the only bit people see before they hit more. But they'll have to go to a lot of trouble to outlist loads and loads of keywords to help YouTube understand what that video is about. However, if we've put all our links in, mine went on that tumbler, on the wine glass video. My links went quantum resin. That is a really big search term at the moment, really
Yeah.
big. So I've got vidIQ running and it's telling me how much. Hi, Susie. And then it said tumbler turner. Now that's a search term as well.
Yeah.
And then what else was there? What else was there? Resin. The starter kits. So in putting your links in, you're actually giving it a load of keywords.
And don't just copy your tags for every video, amend them as well, because
Yeah.
I've been guilty of that before where I might have 3D Bloom in there or something from a 3D Bloom video. Then I do something completely different. I forget to take that out. That can actually have
Yeah.
a negative impact, I've found.
It confuses people. It confuses YouTube because YouTube's now going, so what's this video about then? Because it looks like it's about this, but he's mentioned that. So yeah, what I tend to do is because you don't want to spend too long on tags anyway, but I
No.
just have the standard ones that are in everything, like resin craft, resin art, resin for beginners, that sort of thing. And then I'll have a quick look down and say, are any of those not relevant to this video? I sometimes forget, to be fair, but are any of these not relevant to this video? I'll take them out and I'll just add another couple that are relevant and jobs are good. But yeah, just keep tweaking those.
Yeah.
So in terms of all your links and stuff, I would say until you qualify to get an Amazon storefront, yes, do put all your main ones in because it's all helping your searchability of your video and also for YouTube to understand what it is that your video is about. And the
But
other
don't
thing is
forget
you
as
will
well,
get
you've only got a 5,000 character limit. So you might
yeah,
not be able to put a link to absolutely everything on there. So just pick your main products that I suppose you would use. So don't necessarily put the link in every video to what particular brand of gloves you use or
I
what
do.
particular mixing pot or things like
I
that.
do.
Really? But that's because you've got the storefront, though, isn't it? So you can have it all in
No,
there.
I've only had the storefront for a month. I used to put them
Okay.
all in. I used to put them all in, and all the things that because I kept finding I was getting asked about it, and also if people
Yeah.
want them and they use your link, you earn money on it.
Yeah, yeah.
So why wouldn't you? 5,000 is an awful lot of words. I was managing to get in all of the stuff I was using, plus all of because you get a shortened, particularly if it's on Amazon, you get a shortened version of the
The link.
link.
Yeah.
But if you're on an Amazon affiliate, you get that shortened version, so that's not so long anyway. I keep my description down to no more than a couple of sentences nowadays, and make sure the keywords are in the front end. But I've still got the links to my charities, a link to a resin safety video, all of my discount codes, whole lot.
Oh,
And
that's good.
I never run out of space. The thing is, we've got a thing with our descriptions that if you watch all the YouTube gurus, they'll say things like, "Oh no, you only make your description that long because nobody's going to read all the way down. Nobody clicks on more," which is why you put your important bit at the start,
At the top.
obviously.
Yeah.
But because our descriptions are full of goodies like discount codes, by the way, put those after everything else.
Yeah.
So everybody see everything else before they get to the discount codes. Um, but because our descriptions are full of all these goodies for people, they do click on them and look down them.
Yeah, yeah. And
So
again, sometimes it's quite a big
use
saving.
it.
It can be like 20%, a discount code. So you'd be crazy not to use one.
Yeah,
And even when I order
exactly.
stuff, I'll use somebody else's discount code, because
Mm.
you might as well save yourself the money if you can, and things like that.
And
And
get them
that's
a
the
bit
thing.
of and get them a bit of commission. It helps everybody,
Exactly.
doesn't it? It
And do you know
helps
what? It's
everybody.
it's it's a great thing to do, and especially with resin, it's expensive. So whatever you can do to try and save yourself a little bit of money, just do it. And if it means clicking a button and then scrolling down and using a link, do it.
Of course,
It's
and
not
people
now.
do.
I've just seen another question come through from Resonating Art,
Mm,
and it's just basically, were you nervous when you first started doing YouTube?
no, and the reason for that was I realised one massive thing: nobody cares, and
Yeah,
nobody's been to see. I think my first video's only got 200 views on it, and most of those were me
yeah. Well,
and my mum and things like that. So you can really, it's whilst I should have been nervous. Bear in mind, I'm used to public speaking because of my previous career. But while I should have been nervous, I wasn't because I never for 1 second dreamt that anybody would even look at the videos.
yeah,
So I actually got nervous when people started to look at them about a couple of months later. And that's when you go,
well,
oh, serious now, people are seeing my stuff. And that's when it got a little bit nerve wracking. And that's also when I got really quite sort of stressed about the statistics, all the analytics and everything else. So at first, no. And I think that's a good tip for everyone. Just remember, nobody cares.
yeah. And
And
remember
probably,
your first videos, keep them on there, because I
yeah,
love
mine are
nothing
there.
more than going back to my first few videos. I look about 12, which is shows what a rough paper round I've had over the last 5 years. But it just makes me laugh at, if I watch a video now and I watch a video then and compare the two, and I think,
Mm,
wow, there's been a lot of improvement over that course of 4 or 5
yeah,
years. And I think it's good to see that in yourself and that journey.
yeah, it is. And the other thing is, I look back at some of my early ones and my um, video doesn't look as crisp, it doesn't look as clear. Yeah, it was filmed
Yeah,
with the same phone. And I'm looking at that and thinking, gosh, I've learned a lot more about lighting, and it
yeah,
isn't rocket science. I've learned more about the right settings on my phone. I've learned to clean the lens on my phone because some of them are a bit hazy, and oh, that's why
yeah.
the
Something as
fingerprint on my
simple as
lens.
wiping it makes a difference.
Yeah, and I can't believe how much difference it made just buying a plug-in microphone. I mean,
Yeah,
you've seen the equipment I use now. It's all cheap stuff. The microphone was a bit more. Mind you, that was the microphone and the arm, and it was 80 quid, which isn't
that's not bad.
ridiculous.
Mine cost me twice that.
Yeah, exactly. But my first one was it was a Zeal Sound one, and it was about 25, 30 quid.
Yeah,
But immediately the difference that made. It's a bit of an urban myth that we're all filming with fancy cameras. Have you ever seen the reflection in pouring your heart out resin at what
yeah. It's a
she's
phone.
filming with?
It's definitely a phone.
It's a phone. Clay, I think Wendy's got a nice camera, But Daniel and Claire definitely use phones still because you can, well, Claire will tell you she does. But in Daniel's, I've seen in the again in reflections and things, he's using his phone, and a couple of times he's made reference to it being his phone.
Yeah.
Um,
But you know what?
half,
The
half
phone's on
decent
your
modern
camera.
phone.
I've got a Canon DSLR camera because years ago I used to be into photography and things like that. And I actually find my phone's just a lot easier to use.
Yeah,
But I
iPhone.
actually think the picture quality off of a newish iPhone, anything from 12 upwards, is probably going to
Yeah,
be better quality as well.
yeah. Honestly, I mean, my 13 mini is still a great little phone. The only tip I would give anybody filming with phones, you'll very quickly get fed up with the memory keep getting full. So whenever you change phones, if you can afford to, go for one with a much bigger memory,
Yeah.
because that makes a big difference. The other thing is you don't need. I thought back then that you needed to set everything on the highest settings you could, which totally stuffed my memory up,
Yeah.
even on the big memory phones that I'd got. And it's also totally unnecessary because YouTube can't handle it anyway. So I treated myself to a course from a guy called Trevor Jones. I cannot recommend his course enough. It's a true step by step, completely beginner friendly course on editing with CapCut, although
Okay.
most of the principles will apply to any video editing software anyway. But he's a former Hollywood editor, and he's not kidding. If you look up the credits for a lot of the Avengers trailers, Trevor Jones,
Yeah.
editor, Trevor Jones, he's the real thing, and he's just a really cool dude. But he explains things so beautifully. And what he highlighted was the fact that Hollywood films in 24 frames per second.
Right.
You don't need to go any higher unless you're doing slow motion when you go for 120.
Okay.
So set your phones to default to 24 or 30. A lot of people use 30 as well, but 24 or 30 frames per second and set it to 4K. Done. Now, a lot of people will only be able to see the video in HD rather than Ultra HD, not 4K,
Yeah.
depending on what they're watching on. But YouTube will process it back up to 4K. You edit it in 4K, you export it in 4K, upload it in 4K. YouTube will bring it back up to 4K once it's finished processing it. And that means that anybody who's watching on a seriously fancy big telly will see it at its best. So
Yeah.
you don't need any settings any higher than that unless you're doing slow motion. It's just wasted. It just takes up a load of your memory and achieves zero. So
Yeah.
that
And
made
that can be the
huge.
difference when you're editing as well. Because
Oh,
I had
heck,
this
does
problem
it?
the other day, is I was just running out of space left, right, and center. And I've got an external hard drive that once I've done the editing, I download them onto that. But I was still running
Yeah,
out of memory. And it's quite a new laptop. I only bought it last year. And I'm like, how can this be possible? But sometimes your
yeah.
editing software, so CapCut, for example, if you're saving all your videos on there, it's got to store it somewhere. So that's using up 20, 30, 40 gigs sometime. And I was like,
And the
that
rest, yeah,
explains it. But if you can reduce
yeah.
the amount of that size of that file from 3 gig to 1 gig, it makes a huge difference in the amount of storage that you can have on your computer as well.
It does. I mean, I get rid of mine immediately. I think it was Lisa just said something about buying a big hard drive. Yeah, great investment, a big hard drive.
Yeah.
I hadn't used to back up all of my videos because of the memory thing. I've got a terabyte hard drive on this laptop, but and I'm wishing I'd got a bigger one. But eventually, I stopped saving them, and then I nearly lost my channel. And it was just after I'd monetized. You wouldn't believe how much I save now. Only the
Yeah.
finished versions, obviously, because there's no point in saving all the the little original clips. But yeah, I save everything to. I've got two great big external hard drives now that I'm just storing everything on. I've got 500 videos on there now. Can you imagine if I lost
Wow.
that?
Yeah, you'd be heartbroken. Especially because
Well,
all
it's my
that work,
livelihood now.
it'd just be
So,
gone, wouldn't it? So,
yep,
just got another question come through as well from Lisa, one of the earlier ones. So I want us to go
yes,
through these questions so we don't miss them. So when
yes,
do you
please.
qualify for an Amazon store thing? I
When
think,
you get accepted as an influencer, now I'll tell you a story about why it took me so long to get accepted. You can generally pretty much, once you've got a few hundred subscribers, you can apply to be an Amazon affiliate, and they do
okay,
tend to accept you quite quickly. Now, The problem is to they want they won't tell you the exact criteria for a start, so you just have to keep applying until they accept you. So I tried to apply to be an influencer, knowing that some people had got storefronts when they'd only got like 3 or 4,000 subscribers, and I thought,
Yeah.
I've got about 10 by this point. Why aren't you accepting me? Well, what was actually happening was that it was defaulting to my other channel, and there's no way of changing it at that point, I thought. So for months, I kept applying and applying. Then I thought it was because of this other channel that was there and it was defaulting. So when I said to Amazon, here's my channel, go look, it was looking at the one that's only got 200 subscribers.
Okay.
Anyway, a few weeks ago, I clicked something else and found it. There's a way to tell it a different channel. And the minute
Ah,
I did, in. So it's once you've been accepted as an influencer. So that's what you need to do. If you search, it's hard to find where this is actually. So you have to Google Amazon influencer because you
right.
you can't go onto your Amazon site and find all these things for some reason. It's like it's a separate area completely. So search Amazon influencer. You've got to do associate first. So get yourself to be an Amazon associate first. Once you've done that,
Just on that note as well, Tracy, because Erica's
mm,
just said that she didn't have enough
mm,
people using her links on Amazon, so she got booted out the program. You can reapply straight away, is what I would say to that, because
I believe so,
I
yeah.
did that the first time round. I was putting loads of like wood carving bits and stuff like that, and I got booted after 90 days, I think it was, because I didn't generate enough sales to stay part of it. But then I reapplied straight away and got accepted back in. And now, even though I'm not making a fortune off it, I might make $2 a month, it still keeps me in the
Yeah, I don't
program.
earn much. Yeah, same here. I mean, I think most months it's not enough to pay out mine. So every so often I'll get like, is it 50 or 60 quid? Something like that's the threshold.
Yeah,
So every couple of months I'll get a little chunk of money come through, but some months it's not enough. But it all adds up. But
yeah.
the convenience of having the storefront was the biggie for me. So yeah, get yourself to
That's
be
that's
an
what I need
associate.
to look into
Get
as
it.
well, because I can see the massive benefits in having that storefront, because you can just
Yeah,
have all of your links there in one, and then you can
yeah,
just prioritize the specific different things that you're using on that video
yeah. That's
in your
it. Now,
description.
a little bit of a lesson that Claire learned when she first got her storefront set up. She found that people were finding it hard, especially once you've got a lot of stuff in there, even if you've categorized it carefully and laid it out all nice. People were not going to it to buy quite so much because they got to fiddle around and find it.
Okay.
So she does a combination, and that's what I'm doing. So now I've got the main things that are the feature of the video. I put the links at the top properly, and then say everything else, see my storefront. So it just meant that things like my mat and my stirry sticks and stuff like that, if people say, where'd you get that from? Oh, take a look at my Amazon storefront. It's
Yeah.
nice and easy. So a combination of the two, I think, is the answer to that one. Oh,
And that leads us
yeah,
nicely into the next question, actually, is do the preset
go on.
links only work if you upload through YouTube Studio on a laptop? I'm guessing you mean the Amazon links here in the description. If not, correct me. But the Amazon links, you can do it on a phone. I've done it before where somebody's asked where I've got
Mm.
something, and I can just click and get the link and then paste it. And I can do that on my phone in the description, or I can do it on a laptop. But I'm not sure if that's what you meant by the preset links there, all aboard Resin Creations.
Yeah, could you clarify, Sally? I'm wondering if maybe you mean the ones that we store as like a big preset that then just appear in every one without us keep having to type them in again. It might be you mean that one or what Andy said. I don't know. If it's the
But
latter, I don't. If it's the one I just said, I don't know because I don't do it on my phone. Um,
again, I think
Small screen would drive me nuts.
a similar question on the links. How do you get a short link instead of the ones that are a mile long in the description?
Right.
That's a good one.
That it's a very good question. Yes. Oh, sorry, Sally. Could we just finish off on Sally's question first? Um, the one that I just said. Um, yeah, I don't know how you set those up if you're uploading from your phone. I honestly don't know. I've never uploaded a video from my phone other than shorts. If you've got it preset, perhaps somebody else can answer that. Anybody who uploads from their phone, if you've set all your presets for your uploads, so you know the things that you always put in your description, If you then upload another video using your phone, will it pick those up? Can we answer that question for Sally?
I've
Because
done that before. So as long as you've got
oh,
it, your
you
preset
have?
set up. So you may have to do that on the laptop first to get your preset right. But then as soon as you upload any new video, that preset will come up on your description. So then you can just add and
Great.
edit.
Fab. So I think we've got an answer for you there, Sally. Let us know if we've got your answer, but it sounds like it works as long as you've done it correctly first on the laptop. I wouldn't want to try and type all that lot in on a phone anyway, would you?
No, you'd be
Be a
there forever,
pain.
wouldn't you? Even if
Yeah.
you dictated it, it'd take a long time. But
Yeah.
that's another tip as well. Do you know in your settings in your YouTube studio, set a preset, because it took me about 20 videos before I realized that. And I had them all saved on like Word documents and I was cutting and pasting. But if you set it as a preset, it's so much easier.
Let me just share a video with you because I've done a video. We did a live on that, didn't we, folks? Where is my video on it? Because I'll share the link if I can find it. Is this it? Yes, I think this is it. I'll share a link with you. It's alive when people were all asking questions and such. So it's a bit long, but there's a whole lot on setting up those presets to
Okay.
save you a lot of time. So anybody who hasn't got as far as doing that, if you want to, you might end up skipping through bits or whatever because it is quite long being alive. But there is a load of tips that I put together because like Andy, it took me ages to realise I could save so much
Yeah,
time
and it
doing that.
saves so much time. But there we go. Just another thing that's popped through from Karen as well is she's saying that CapCut keeps telling her she needs more room. Check
Yeah,
if it's automatically saved all of your videos, because you will
yeah,
need
we'll
to
have.
delete them from CapCut and then delete them from your recycle bin in order to get that space back on your
Yeah,
computer.
I always delete them once they're uploaded onto YouTube, and I've copied my finished version onto my hard drive. I delete them from everywhere, so
Yeah.
that will
And,
happen.
and if
Yeah,
you haven't done that yet, but you get an external hard drive, you can always download them from YouTube once you've uploaded them as a backup onto
yeah,
that hard drive, so that if you do ever get compromised, and let's be honest, there's more scammers out there than there probably are YouTubers at the minute, trying to get into your accounts. But if ever that happens, you've then got them on a hard drive.
absolutely. There was another question was about the shorter links. We had that on the
Yep.
screen a moment ago, didn't we? The shorter links. If
Yep.
you're an Amazon, well, most of the ones that you're an affiliate for, like Amazon or I've got AliExpress, things like that. If you click, well, let's just talk Amazon because that's the one I know best. At the top of your screen, you've got that stripe thing, which is for people who are Amazon affiliates or influencers.
Yep.
And all you do is you click on Get Link, and you'll have two options. One is for long link and one is for short link. Click the short one, and it'll create a nice little short one like that, which you then swipe, copy, paste. That's it, done.
Yep.
So that's the thing that it comes from. It comes from the Amazon Associates program.
Yep. And if you're
So
not an
there you go.
associate and you just want to link a product, I don't think there is a way to do it then.
No,
I think it's the long link then.
no. What you can do, if you want to be really nice, though, if one of your mates is an affiliate, get them to
Ask
generate a
them to
link
get
for you
you a
to
link.
share because
Yeah.
they might as well have the commission if you can't.
And
I
one
must
of the
admit,
things that I would also recommend, if you are doing the Amazon Associates, do it for .co.uk and also .com. You have to sign up for both to get both separate links as well. So I try and put the links for the US and the UK in there.
it's a good tip. Yeah, I've done that. I need to set up my storefront for the US, and the stuff I've been using mostly in my videos hasn't been Amazon stuff lately, so I've been a bit lax with putting those in. But yes, it's a good tip because remember, a good half of our audience is in America,
If not more.
so
So
if
I
not
think
more.
my
Yeah,
audience is 67% in the States at the minute. And
yeah.
then,
I think I'm around the 60% mark. Yeah.
yeah. Susie's
So
asking as well, do we do the
yes,
editing before we upload? I'm
yes,
presuming you mean the videos.
yes.
100%.
Yeah, because you can do bits of editing after you've uploaded, but it's rubbish. It's really rubbish, and you certainly can't enhance things. You certainly can't adjust volume levels. You can cut bits out, but that's about it.
That's
So if you
about it.
realise you made a horrible mistake at the end, you could cut the end off, but that's about it. and it's faffy, it's tricky, it's just a pain. So no, I mean, for example, today I've edited 3 videos, which has taken me all day,
That's
and I
good
do them
going.
fully. I'm getting quicker. The talking head ones are quicker to do as well because they're for that
Yeah.
other channel, so they're all talking head ones. Um, and it does get quicker. I mean, the biggest change for me is since CapCut introduced the transcript editing, and they've updated it recently.
Oh, have
So
they?
yeah, well,
How
before
recently? I've seen the old version, I think.
days, it's in
Right,
days.
okay.
What used to happen was you'd click the little button and it'd think about it and then bring up the
Bring it all up on
transcript.
the left-hand side as a transcript.
Yeah, and you could automatically make it remove filler words, pauses, and hesitations. The trouble is, for our style of editing, as we said earlier, we want that little bit more relaxed pace. It was too much because if it took all the 0.1 of a seconds out, it was all bam, 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 and
Yeah,
it's headache. No. So I was hoping that at some point they would bring in a facility where it would leave it unless it was, say, more than 3/4 of a second or a second, or you
yeah.
could change it. Anyway, they've done it. You don't need to change it. I've just run what would have taken me, because what I previously did with it was I'd go through, I'd let it remove all the filler words, but the pauses and hesitations, I couldn't let it do those automatically. I had to go through one at a time
And
and
delete
remove
them.
anything over 1 second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
which
exactly what
was,
I did.
and it's an awful lot quicker than trying to find it on your actual what's it called,
But
your
the other
fine
thing
line
that I
thing.
found when I was
But
using that as a tool was
yeah,
actually sometimes in my videos, there would be silence because I wouldn't be speaking, but actually it'd be quite relevant what I was doing
yeah,
on the camera, and that's what you've got to be conscious of as well, not to cut
yeah.
an important step out.
But you can go back and put it back in if you realise you've done it, which is quite handy. But yes, absolutely, because that might have been the bit that you might speed up and put a bit of music over or
Yeah,
whatever. There might be a reason for it, like if you're doing a time lapse watching your bloom go
yeah.
or whatever.
Hi,
Anyway, the
Dancing
new
in the Rain as well. I don't think we've had you on a live before, so
oh,
welcome.
hello,
If you've got
hi
any
dancing.
questions, put them in the chat in caps lock and we'll hopefully get them answered. But just going back right at the start, did you mention something about music and we just went straight past that?
Who?
I think you mentioned
Me?
something about
Oh,
one
just
of
as
the
a,
tips he was going to do is about music on YouTube, and then we just
it's
went
out.
straight into
It's already
questions.
the video's already out. It's on my other channel now.
Oh, okay.
Went out a few hours ago. It's one of the ones I edited today, so
Because
that's
that's one
already
thing I
out.
noticed actually when I went from my previous editor to CapCut is I presume because the previous editor I never had any issues with copyrighted music,
You will.
and as soon as I used CapCut, and even though it said it was licensed and okay to use, as soon as I uploaded that first video, it was like taken down because of copyright until I removed the music. So this is
Yep.
where you have got to be
All
careful what music you use.
all editing software is the same, and it's not the editing software's fault. That is simply because the people who created the music can change their mind.
Yeah,
So you would have got it on your old one. You might still get, I mean, 2 years on, I'm suddenly out of the blue getting copyrighted on
really.
songs that I used 2 years ago. Yeah, when I was editing on iMovie. So yeah, they still pop up. And you either deal with them or you just think, oh, I'll leave that one demonetized. You know, if it's a really old one that hasn't done much good anyway, you can just ignore it.
Yeah.
So yes, that will happen. So yes, the video's out. It went out earlier tonight. So do go and have a look at that one. Do you want me to get you
Will
the link?
do. Sally's
The
asking
other,
as well. Once you get 4,000 watch hours, do
can we?
you then
We didn't.
always stay in the YouTube program? I don't think you do. I think you have to keep that up each year. I thought.
Yeah, it never happens though. It never happens. We didn't quite finish the previous question. There was
Oh,
something else
sorry.
to say about it, and I can't remember what it was now. Oh, yes, I was telling you about the update to CapCut.
Yes.
You will, you'll love it. What happens now is it only removes gaps over a certain length.
Okay. And do you
So you don't.
specify that in the editor?
No, you don't. But I've tried it. You don't need to.
Okay.
It's just spot on. Honestly, it's about 3/4 of a second. I think it's taking out. So you'll see it leaves all the really short ones. Anyway, that's an update for you on that. We've
Okay.
got another question. The watch hours. Yeah, it never happens. Um, Theoretically, yes, you would drop off the partner program until you went back up over, I believe,
Yeah.
but I have never heard of or seen it happen. The thing is,
I
once
suppose
you get
if
to
you
that,
stopped uploading, then there's a risk.
Yeah, if you stopped uploading when you were only just over it, probably, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a fair comment, definitely. But if you're just carrying on as normal, honestly, you get more and more and more views. I freaked out over that. What if I drop below the 1,000 subscribers? What if I drop below the 4,000 watch hours? Does not happen.
Okay.
Yes, you might lose, like with the subscribers, one day you go, "Oh, I've lost 2 overnight."
Yeah. And
But
it's
the
normally
trend
just
is
as you're approaching a milestone.
it also seems to stick when you're approaching a milestone. You'll get
Yeah.
stuck on 10,000, where 9,999 for 2 days
Yeah.
and things
And then
like
it
that.
goes down to 97. You're like, no.
And then 2 days later, you've got 1,050.
Yeah.
10
Are you okay
Yeah,
for time as well, Tracy? I am, but I'm
I
just
am if
noticing
you
we've gone
are.
over the hour. I'm fine to carry on. I think
I'm
it's
totally
good
fine.
that people are getting the
I'm to
questions answered.
Yeah, I'm totally fine. If you're okay with it, and then absolutely I am. So yeah, in practice, what happens if you're carrying on uploading? Those watch hours just keep stacking up, and whilst you will have ups and downs with your subscribers, and you might have ups and downs with your watch hours, it just doesn't happen,
Yeah.
because it
And
just
it's because
carries
you
on
always get
growing.
the previous views from the previous videos as well, because I
Oh yeah,
noticed
they're
some of
still
my
doing
videos
stuff.
from like 3-4 months ago are still getting 1 or 2 views a week and things like that. But if
Yeah.
you times that by 100 videos, that adds up.
Yes. So the more videos you've got on there, the more that does stack up. And the other thing to remember is you get better at it
Yeah.
as time goes on. Your videos get better as you learn and your confidence grows and you're trying different things. So actually, the more you grow, the faster you grow, is what I'm observing. I'm approaching 19,000 now. And,
Wow.
for the first couple of few months, I was putting on like 10 subscribers a week. And then it got to the point where, hang on a minute, I'm getting like 50 subscribers a week. And
Yeah.
now I'm getting 100. And now I'm at the point where I'm getting a couple of hundred subscribers a week. And you'll notice that the channels who've gone past their 100,000, the algorithm is not doing anything different.
No.
It's just knowing that people are liking their videos. It's offering them to a wider audience, which probably means their click-through rate's gone down. But they're just blowing up even more and more. So it actually snowballs. That's
And I
that's
think
what
don't
happens.
get me wrong,
So
if
don't
you have
worry
more
about it.
subscribers, you'll naturally usually get that initial surge because people get notified of your video. Because you've
Yeah,
got them as subscribers, you will get that initial push. But that's the whole
but
point of that cumulative process, I
yes,
think, to keep growing.
and also, your videos are being offered out to, and increasingly small channels are as well, being offered out to a wide audience, whether they're subscribed or not.
Yeah.
But there's a psychological thing. If you look at somebody's video and think, "Oh, they've only got 10 subscribers," would you click on it and watch it? You might. I mean,
If
I
it
I
interested me, there's the key.
I
Is that they'd
do.
have to have a
Yeah.
good thumbnail.
If it looks promising, then yes, I will. Yeah, absolutely. But if you look at it and think, they must be good, they've got 100,000 subscribers, you're more
Yeah.
likely to watch it and click on it. So there's a psychological thing because really, once you get past 1,000 subscribers, numbers is totally and utterly irrelevant.
Yeah. No, I
What
agree.
pays the bills? What pays the bills is watch hours.
Yeah. And views,
Yeah,
ultimately.
it is. It's the views and the watch hours those generate. Now, I still wake up every morning and go, I've got another 5 overnight.
Yeah.
You just do, because I think inwardly you feel it's like a seal of approval, and it's flattering, it's nice, and it's something quite tangible that you can quite easily see and that other people see as well. So
Yeah.
the subscriber numbers matter to us, but not in the way that some people think they do.
Yeah, and just
Yeah.
before we sort of move on from that as well, so that because there's a few
Mm.
questions coming through, which I think is brilliant. But
Thank you,
piece of
everyone.
advice from me as well. What I believe was one of my biggest mistakes, and this is why I want to put it out there for you guys and anybody watching this afterwards as well.
Mm.
Don't use YouTube advertising to push your videos, because I did
Ah.
this through a supplier that I worked with. Said, "Do you want us to promote your videos?" And I was like, "Great, let's do it." And I went up in the space of a month about 2,000 subscribers. And I was like, this is amazing. And don't get me wrong, I think because I got to see what they'd spent like $400-500 on pushing the video, which was brilliant, I thought, at that time. But then I looked into the views. Every one of them was bang on 30 seconds, which tell me it was one of these little farms where there's all these little phones
Box.
everywhere.
Mm.
And since then, I think my videos get pushed to those people and they don't watch because they're not being paid to watch anymore.
Yeah,
And I actually think that damages my algorithm personally as a channel. And that's caused me actually slow down in
yeah,
growth just as I was on the upwards path. So my advice to you is do not even think
I
about
agree.
using YouTube advertising or anything like that to promote your videos. Share them on
Now,
Facebook and stuff like that. That's fine, but don't pay for it because you will just get those 30-second clicks.
absolutely. What happens? I mean, I did the same thing. I just I threw 100 quid at
Yeah.
YouTube itself promoting them.
Yep.
So not through a separate thing, just straight through YouTube. And okay, it was only 100 quid. Only, still a lot of money. And I
Yep.
had exactly the same thing happen. Now, I've seen the people from YouTube actually being interviewed about this, and they say that what you and I have experienced is not the algorithm doing it.
No.
They say, but it felt like it. It absolutely feels like it. What they said was basically it's got pushed to the wrong people who aren't going to watch going forward. And I thought, well, surely that is then telling the algorithms that your channel isn't as good. And I still think it's what you said, Andy. Despite what they said about how it
Yep.
worked, I experienced the exact same thing.
And the
And
problem is they
so,
don't unsubscribe. This is the big issue.
no,
So
but
when you've
I
got
got
those
I got
paid
about
for
2,000 in a
subscribers,
month as well.
yeah, they don't unsubscribe, but then they'll never watch your content. So every time YouTube, because I think it automatically pushes it to your subscribers first, and that's where it
Yeah,
gets an
I
idea
think
of
so.
whether to then go on to the next audience. And I think that's one of the biggest
Excuse it.
problems I've had in my growth was doing that. So if you can learn anything from me,
And me.
please don't do that. Don't pay for your audience, even if it means growing one subscriber a month. Carry on with that rather than paying.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And I'm in a lot of YouTube creators groups on Facebook, and the amount of people are going, "I'll subscribe to you if you subscribe to me." Same problem. It doesn't work.
Yep,
The thing to put all your energy, effort, investment, everything into is getting to know your audience, understanding what they want and what they enjoy. Your comments are an absolute gold mine of
yep.
feedback. So getting to know people, just sticking it in your community tab. What would you guys like to guys? I did it then. What would you all like to see? You
Yeah,
know, um, get to know the people. Another tip for you, and I know we've said this before on lives, Andy, is hanging around in the Facebook groups where your audience lurk.
yeah,
See what questions they're asking. See what problems they're having with things. What are their pain points? Look out for all of those. That's where to focus your efforts,
yeah.
because what you're trying to impress is the audience, not the algorithms. Because once you've got that right, all you've then got to do is make sure you're putting in the right sort of information through your thumbnail, your description, your title, and so on to help YouTube understand what it's all about to make sure it meets it up with those people.
Yeah.
That's it. So make sure you've connected with you. And what Andy's doing here with this whole community thing is a great step in that direction. It's
Mhm.
not being done elsewhere. It's very valuable.
And I
Get to
think
know the people.
that's why I wanted to do it. I don't think I've seen it done weekly for a start. I have seen it
No.
done ad hoc, which is
Hmm.
fine.
Yeah.
But I actually want to get to know the people that like my content. I actually get stuff
Absolutely.
from that, knowing the people that I'm creating content for. And again, even in the Discord, it means a lot to me if somebody puts a comment in there on the share your work bit and goes, "Do you know what? That's amazing," and it shows me that I'm doing something in the right direction. It's not something that
Hmm.
everybody hates or doesn't like. And you know what? Sometimes that's what you need. If you're having a bad month, for example, on views or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and you've been massively helpful with this as well with me when we've talked and
I
stuff
do
like
my
that,
best.
because it can be really deflating. You can spend a week editing a video, your best video ever. You put it out there and it flopped, and you get like 100 views, and you're expecting it to be your best performing video. And I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I spending all my time on this if it's not going to grow? And this is where sometimes you just got to keep that positive mindset and know that it will come in time.
It will. And I think I've been quite stunned by how well the Crafty YouTubers United group has worked. It's an absolute credit to the people in the group. I mean, I just
Yep.
set it up and said, "I'm not doing all this. It's over to you." The knowledge sharing, the mutual support. I didn't want people to be on their own at the start. And when you have those downers like you're just talking about, that you absolutely go through the floor. I did not want anybody else to be in that position because I've been there. I know what it's like. And this group has been just incredible. And
Yep.
it's helped me too because I might be a bit further down the line, but I still get all the same problems. They're just a bit different in some ways. They're just on you know, just further down the line. This lot have just been absolutely awesome.
Yep.
It's just made such a difference to me as well.
Well, it's a true community. That's the key. It is a community, and
Yes.
that's what's brilliant. And this is where hopefully this adds to that. Where again,
Mm.
each week we get to know somebody else in that community, and I think
Yeah.
it's great that we're worldwide as well. So we had somebody in from Denmark earlier. We've had the USA on a few times actually. We've had people on from the US,
The one from
and we've got
Denmark's
you.
actually one of the moderators. He's one of the
Oh right,
moderators of the group, Jenna is, and
oh right.
he's also was the first moderator on my YouTube channel. He's my best mate.
Oh, there we go. But it's
Yeah,
great. It shows that we have a worldwide audience as well. And I think that's one of the beauties
we
of resin
do.
is you might not always be able to get even the same products, but you can watch somebody's video and figure out, well, actually, I can get a similar
Something
product
similar.
here and still
Excuse me.
recreate it. And I think that's one
Definitely.
of the things that I love.
Oh, he's still here. Jenna's still here. Hello, he's still here. Yeah.
Laura,
But I think this
Laura's
is it.
asking as well if
Mm,
anybody edits on iMovie. I personally don't.
I
Um,
used to.
Yeah, I think my first ever video I did, but I had
Mhm.
so many issues, I stopped using it because it was very clunky, I found.
Yeah, I found it. Uh, there were so many things I wanted to be able to do that I couldn't in it. So I did some research and I found that of all the softwares that people talk about on YouTube, you know, all the people who do the like tutorials on them,
Yeah,
there were ones like the DaVinci one, there was the Adobe one, and CapCut. And CapCut just looked the simplest, yet it was loaded with all these funky features.
yeah,
And then, as I say, I invested in Trevor Jones's course, and I don't like the fact that TikTok own it. I
right.
am worried. Filmora Wondershare is the next one on my list,
That's the one I
because it's
used to use before I went to
yeah.
CapCut,
Well, apparently the paid version of that is very similar to the paid version of CapCut, so
but
it's an
it's
easy
getting quite.
learning curve.
I tell you, the biggest thing that put me off Filmora, and the biggest reason I moved is it
Mm.
kept adding extra costs each month, and at the end, because I
Oh,
was paying
that's
for the
not good.
paid version, it was costing me about 45 quid a month
Oh,
with
that's
all the
no good.
add-ons, and I was like, I'm not paying that for an
It's
editor.
all right. It's all right if you're going to use the add-ons, but if you don't need them, I think mine's about is it about a tenner a month, something like
Yeah.
that. And it
I think mine's about 15 quid now with CapCut, which was a
is
big
it
saving. So I think that
mine,
that's
mine
I'm
must be then.
comfortable with that. £15 a month for my hobby,
Right.
it's not a huge deal.
Yeah,
And actually the simplicity, I think it saves me probably an hour per video in editing versus other software I've used. So that's where I look at that
exactly.
£15 as a saving.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's saving me at least an hour per video. And this update, honestly, Andy, you've got to see it. It'll save you at least another half an hour per
That's good
video.
because I've got 6
Oh,
videos to edit. So
let me know how you get on. Um,
yeah, I'll have a look at
so
that.
yeah,
And
the
is
whole
that just in
CapCut
the
thing.
standard transcript button, the same as
Yeah,
before? Wait, oh,
yeah,
okay.
it's just changed. And if you click on the little eye, it says just remove stuff, and you just click yes, and it just does it. So, hey, marvelous. People have been asking for a video on CapCut. I mean, I always say go have a look at Trevor Jones's channel. If you can, treat yourself to this course. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's superb.
Oh,
But
here's an
just for the
interesting question that's come through as well.
but, yeah, I do, and it's
Um,
not a resinous one. I've got a resinous one.
it's not that one.
I've
um,
got one.
no, I've heard
It,
that you're going to be doing some tests on it as well, haven't you? Or something like that.
I've got a chemical compliance expert, the chemical compliance expert for 3M, the world's biggest chemical company,
Yeah.
and I are going to be dismantling it on his kitchen table next Friday.
Oh, okay. That's going to
This
be interesting.
Friday.
I'm going to be intrigued to see the results, because I know we've had a few conversations, and for me, and again, I've had
Got no carbon
communication
in it.
from them as to what they've said with regards to the filter, which I've sent you as well to have a look at. And for me, I feel it does something, which is great. And it's like, I smoke, so if I go outside and have a cigarette, come back in, it picks up on those fumes and goes off. So it's doing
They're
something.
particles.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's two parts to these things though. There's your sensor,
Yeah.
which will tell you what's in the air. That's easy. You can get one of those separately from Amazon for about 40
Yeah.
quid. And then there's the thing that actually removes the fumes. Now, the sensor can turn on and off the thing that's allegedly removing the fumes.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it is, though, does it?
No, and that's the thing. I don't know. So I'm going to be very interested to see your results at the end of the day,
Lisa, I'll
because
come back to
I'm
that.
hoping that there is a carbon element to that HEPA 3 filter, but I don't know until you come back to me and let me know.
Let's be absolutely clear about this. HEPA does not remove fumes.
Mm.
It removes particles. That's
Particles.
what the P stands for.
Yeah.
P is for particles. Resin fumes and the fumes of alcohol. I mean, let's face it, resin isn't as dangerous as it used to be anyway. These quantum ones have got no VOCs at all in them, even when you mix them.
Yeah.
But you spray alcohol around, you have all these other alcohol inks and things. There's always
Alcohol is one of the worst I've found.
and glue. Super glue's evil.
Yeah.
I opened a bottle of super glue next to my VOC sensor, and it went bananas. Anyway, what I have got, yes, is carbon filters. If a filter hasn't got carbon in it, it will not take out VOCs because they're airborne vapors. That's what the V stands for. A HEPA filter cannot remove them on its own. Now, some filters, I've got a little air filter that I've got on my windowsill at the moment. It's buzzing away at the moment. It does both. It's got carbon in it as well. So it does both. It's in my Amazon storefront. So if you have a look at the section on resin safety, it's in there. The other thing I found, here's one. These are great. Excuse me one moment. These are little baby ones. Isn't that cute?
All right. Okay.
They're 4 3D printers, and I've now got 4 of these. And if you tell it's been in my craft room, it's all sticky. And in the top of it, if I take the top off, it's got a little fan that pulls the air through. It's sucking it in all round from the bottom. And carbon.
Yeah.
That's what it pulls it through. So
Well, I
where
had a
does
thought
all
on this
say?
as well.
4 of those.
And you know, if you've already got one of those, for example, the resin is one, but it doesn't have carbon, could you not just put a bag of activated carbon in the center of that filter where it pulls it all through anyway?
Try it.
Yeah. I
If
don't
the
know.
air flows through it.
This was just,
I mean,
and I don't know. There could be carbon in it. I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
We'll know on Friday. I'll
Yeah.
send you a message as soon as I know. But we're videoing the whole thing.
Oh, brilliant.
Because we know what resiners' ethics are like. And I'm pulling no punches on that. Them and J Diction. Yeah, I binned my accounts with both of those, my affiliate deals, because I'm not being associated with businesses that behave like that. But I mean, the thing is, anything's better than nothing. If there are particles, glitter wafting around in the air, fine mica powders, that resinous one will remove that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So why not? Now, somebody has mentioned, yes, Lisa, they're all in my Amazon storefront, but you'd need like several of those in a room to make a difference.
Yeah.
I put them all over the top the my cutter, my laser cutter, because the fumes are pretty sticky.
One thing I just want to add on, whilst we're on the topic of air filters and purifiers and things like that, they are not in any way, shape, or form a replacement for your respirators. This is where I think a lot of people get confused.
Ventilation.
And even with whether this works or not, which again we'll find out, you still need your respirator on. And the reason I got it originally was the fact that I was concerned about sometimes I'll let the resin heat up, and I'm not going to sit there for 40 minutes with my respirator on just whilst it's heating up. And when I moved it indoors, that's when I started thinking, actually, all these fumes are airborne. So I'm sat there. Yes, I'm wearing a respirator when I do the project, but then I take it off whilst I'm waiting for the resin to heat up and things like that. But they are not to replace a respirator.
Absolutely.
So they
And
are just to
resiners
take
will,
the fumes out after.
and in fairness to resiners, they will tell you that.
Yeah,
You've well ventilated room, you think about it, you have fans going and windows open and things like that. That thing is at least causing air movement.
yeah,
So that will help a bit. Now, if we can come back to the fact that Steve has tested one of these, if you remember, Steve's test showed that his VOC monitor read completely differently to the VOC monitor on the resinous
yeah.
thing.
But interestingly, again, I've watched one from Ben's Works where it read the same. This is,
So go figure.
yeah,
And the other thing is, don't forget the fumes will be gradually dissipating anyway because of your
yeah.
ventilation. So the test we're going to do, part of it will be I'm going to open a bottle of super glue next to it because my resins are so low VOC, it shouldn't be an issue. I want something that's going to give an extreme reaction. I'm going to take some alcohol. I don't know what Gareth's going to turn up
I
with.
guarantee if you spray some 99.9% alcohol, it will be going off for about 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. So, um, Sally, no, there isn't an alternative, I'm afraid. Try different masks though, because one of mine I didn't like, and I've now got a
Yeah.
different one.
I didn't
But
like the stiffer rubber ones if I was doing a long project, but I've replaced mine. I'm just having a look. Where is it? So
buried mine. I
that's
was
the old
trying to
one that
click.
I was using, which was a full face one. But again,
Yeah,
I wear glasses a lot of the time and it wasn't very comfortable, but it's almost like
yeah,
a
I don't.
firmer rubber. Now the new one I've got is it's a standard sort of half face one, which I've actually moved now. But it's a softer rubber on my face, and that is it's actually a lot more comfortable to wear.
Yeah, both of mine are quite soft. My main one, my original one's a 3M. It's just that with the separate goggle, I wanted a full face one, so I've got one similar to that full face you've got, and it's a bit girly. It's
Yeah,
pink. But yeah, unfortunately, there isn't an alternative, Sally. I know a friend of mine gets extreme claustrophobia with the full face ones and things. So all I can say is try different sorts because there are
yeah.
lots of different designs out there, and I hope you find one that you can work with.
And again, some people, it depends on your weather as well. If you can do it outdoors, there's a lot less risk.
Yeah. And
So
also I think I mean, I'll be absolutely honest with you, if I'm doing a very quick project and it's nice outside so I can fling every window upstairs in my house wide open, get a massive fan over here behind me blowing towards the window, a load of big fans there, I might not bother with my mask. Now, that is if it's a quick project and also I get out of the room quick. I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. You should wear your mask. But
yeah.
it really does depend what you're doing and where. Like Andy said, if you can get outside, then you're laughing.
And I'll be honest, when I first started with resin, I was working in an outbuilding outside where there was loads of air naturally blowing around. And my first few projects, I didn't use a respirator. I've been a lot more concerned about it since I've had to move it indoors and I'm in a confined space because that's where I think the fumes build up as well. And you're
Mm,
risking a lot more. And also, it depends on your resin because the amount of different resins, if you get the safety certificates from the manufacturer, you'll see they're very different and they let
they
off very different chemical
they are.
reactions.
I
And I know
showed
people that have reactions to one, but not the rest. And this is
yeah.
where you need to make sure you know what's in your resin.
You know, I had somebody on my channel in my comments say, I can't afford a respirator. It's all right for you. So I'm just going to not wear one. What are you going to do about it, sort of thing? And I said, well, don't do resin then.
Well, you can,
Uh,
and to be
have
fair,
it,
you
have
can
it,
get a budget respirator for about £15 on Amazon. Or
exactly.
even
And
if
as
you
long as
have
it's
to
got
get one off Timu, get one off Timu. They're cheaper on
not
there.
no, not Timo,
I,
not Timo.
again, I don't recommend Timu, but if you've got no other option,
Never buy one from Temu. They just simply haven't got the right filters in.
really,
You might
okay, well,
you
don't
might as
do
well
that
not
then.
you might as well not wear one.
But get a cheap one off Amazon, 15 quid. And if you're going to spend that on resin
My new
anyway,
one, I think my new one was 25. That's
yeah.
the price of a bottle of resin, isn't it? It
And that's
is.
the thing. But you're saving your lungs, you're saving your potentially your life. So it's worth it.
It is. Now, the difficulties are with the cheaper resins, you can't get the safety data sheets.
Yeah.
I did manage to get them on some of them, and I did get them on all of the proprietary brands that we use in the UK. because I was trying to work out which one I was allergic to, and unfortunately, it is one of the big brands that make a really good resin, and there's a
Yeah.
particular ingredient in it. As you say, they all vary. There's a particular ingredient in it that made my face just come up like that if I was even in the same house as it, with the lids on the bottles. I only had to get near a sealed bottle and I would react. It was
Yeah.
horrendous. And I got Gareth, my chemical friend, to have a look at it, and he said, "No, it's that one." Okay. What about this resin here then? And I've got all these proper safety data sheets. And I don't mean the little leaflet that comes in the box. I mean the
Yeah.
actual full
The
blown,
16-page document.
that one. Yeah. And I showed him the one from Apex, which was as easy as wink to get hold of. They just, "Here you go," just sent it. And he said, "Use that."
Mm.
Great. So they do vary. People keep saying, "Oh, yeah, but they're expensive. I'm buying cheaper ones from Temu." I will not buy anything chemical related from
Well,
Temu.
I tell you what,
I bought
I will
molds and
never buy
things.
resin from Temu again. I've
You've
made
had
that
an
mistake,
experience
as
with
you've
this.
seen.
Mm,
You've seen in my previous videos, and I will never buy silicone or silicone putty off Temu again because, again,
no.
in my latest attempt of making my own coaster, I got there in the end,
Mm.
but I wasted so much because the product was just rubbish.
The other thing is, if I can find the video, I'll distribute the link. There was a young lady, we're talking, the video goes back a couple of years, and it's before resin quality had improved on the proper brands as much as
Yeah,
it has now. It was when only cheaper brands were available, I think. And there's a young lady who nearly died. She was in a room where they were demonstrating this resin. She was working for the firm.
yeah,
Yes, that was one very big employer's liability claim. And they were demonstrating the resin, and none of the people in that room that she was demonstrating to were wearing masks either. They just didn't know about
yeah,
the dangers back then. Every single one of them was severely ill. Her lungs had been burned from the inside, and this is a beautiful young lady, only in her 20s. Her
yeah,
lungs are permanently, quite severely damaged. It is not worth the risk. I always say to people, buy one of the main proprietary brands of resin because they are what they are for a reason. They will cost a bit more, yes. Have yourself a respirator, do all your ventilation, proper gloves, don't reuse the gloves, all that sort of thing,
I was
because
guilty
your
of
life,
that.
yeah, but your life and your lungs and everything else. I mean, honestly, this poor young lady was off work for nearly a year, I think.
Yeah,
The damage it's done to her, she's now got like severe asthma permanently. And she was a fit, healthy young lady, but she really nearly died.
yeah,
And
it's
a lot of the
crazy.
other people who were in the room with her were in the same position.
And
Don't risk
again,
it.
this is where if you watch some like me, I'm into my wood as well as my resin. So I'll often watch like these big, giant river tables being made with like big buckets full of resin just thrown in. They never wear a mask
I
ever.
know. That's
But
what
what you don't see is they're in massive warehouses usually with huge ventilation fans
yeah.
blowing the air out. And that's the thing, what you don't necessarily see. And
No,
this is
that's
where you need
right.
to think about that.
Juliet pouring your heart out, clearly doesn't wear a mask because you see a
Mhm.
reflection. What she has got is a proper studio with proper industrial level ventilators. You can actually hear them. Now,
Yeah.
if you can stretch to that, then you can obviously, maybe I
Do what you
think
want.
I'd still be wearing a ventilator, but you probably don't need to. I mean, she's been doing it for years and she's fine. So,
And again, it
but
is down to your risk tolerance as well. Let's be honest, people will take bigger risks than other people, and that's
yeah,
down to individuals what they want to do. And it's the same in anything really.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the
It's your
the, the
choice.
at the end of the day, is it worth the risk? No, in my mind, for the sake
No,
of just
absolutely
wearing that
not.
respirator, it makes such a difference.
It does, but as you say, people take their choices, don't they? I mean, I drink, some people smoke. They're risks. We drive cars, they're risks. The
Yeah,
only thing is that this is known. This is a really, really terrifying chemical risk,
yeah,
and so a degree of being safe with it. So sticking with the good brands is always right. My recommendation. Always use plenty of ventilation, always use your respirator, always use your gloves. If you've got a air filters of any sort, stick them on. It can only, it can't do any harm
yeah,
and it might help. But like I do worry, we have my air filters going, and if I manage to put it back together, the resin after we've dismantled it, the resin is one I shall be using when we're bottling up that blooming fine mica powder, the super shimmer white.
Yeah.
It looked like it had snowed in our kitchen after we did that the other day. Mark was covered in it as well. I mean, we've got dust masks on and we've got the vacuum cleaner with a big nozzle going. But I shall put that HEPA filter because that's what HEPA filters are for, particles.
Yeah, I love
I shall
Blacktail
have that running.
Studios as well, Dancing in the Rain. So I've got quite a bit of inspiration from him when I do wood and epoxy together. He's
Oh, nice.
amazing in what he's
Yeah,
done.
I'll have to look that channel up.
Oh yeah, he's great. I think it's a chap called is it Cam? I think his name is. But it's amazing what some of the creations he makes from mainly tables, if I'm being honest. But if you're into your resin tables, he's brilliant at them.
Lula and Lisa are being naughty again.
Yes, as always.
Susie was asking which video editor is best. I don't think there's an answer to that, Susie. It's personal preference. I wanted
Yeah,
one that was really simple. I could learn quickly, but that still did lots of funky things, so I went for CapCut.
yeah.
Some people like to be able to do an awful lot more funky things, so they'll go for the DaVinci one or Adobe. Is that Premiere Pro? Yeah, they'll go for those. It's very much a dependent on preference, but you can get for most of them, if not all of them, you can get a free 2-week trial to have a play with them
Yeah.
and see which one you think, yeah, I can get this one. This one's for me.
And I'll be honest with
So
you,
do your
it was
trial periods.
transitioning from one to another. It blew my mind for the first week. I was like, oh my God, where
Mm,
do I find this transition or where do I find this image? And it just takes a bit of getting used to. And that's the thing.
it does.
CapCut, now I've started using it, I'd recommend it to people because it is
I think it's
as
great.
simple or as complex as you want it to be.
Yeah, that's it. And I think if you then do switch to any other editing softwares, the principles are the same. It's just where everything is.
And again, I
As you
find
say,
it
it's
easier
finding
myself to
things.
do it on my laptop rather than on the phone. I know there's the
Oh,
option
yeah.
to do it on your phone.
Bigger screen and a mouse just makes everything so much easier. Absolutely. So I hope that sort of answers that question. Were there any more questions?
That's what I was just going to ask because
Just
we've
looking at
nearly been 2 hours.
I
What's going
know.
on?
It's good, isn't it?
But is there any
What
more questions in the
while you're
audience?
while you're looking for the questions, there's one little tip, another tip about if we come back to thumbnails I was meant to give you. So while Andy's looking for more questions, I'll just give you that. Remember that some people will be watching YouTube in dark mode and some will be which means like it's all black all around it, a bit like
Yeah,
Andy's screen is here. Some people will be watching it in light mode with a white screen all around it. So when you're checking what your video looks like, just try it against both backgrounds to make sure that your thumbnail works on
with
both a
both.
light
No,
and a
that makes
dark background
sense.
as well as your two different sizes. And captions are a good idea. I don't always turn it on mine, but sometimes people will be watching it with the sound off because they're on the bus. So
Right,
actually,
okay.
captions are a good idea. I don't put them on mine, but you can turn them on manually. The person watching it can, but you can do it yourself. You can tell it to put captions on your video. So that's sometimes thing. J Diction, Laura wants to know about. Yes, good
I've heard
question.
rumors about this, but again,
It's
I
beyond
don't know.
rumor. It's beyond rumor. It'll end up in a court case at this rate.
Okay.
Now, I didn't quote, and Daniel Cooper didn't quote who the offending firm were, because at that point, Fran from Little Windows had kind of said that, look, they've taken the adverts down now, so let's not publicise it yet. Anyway, I've had a conversation with her since, and she said, yeah, go on, tell everybody.
Yeah.
Fran at Little Windows it's a firm in America that you may well have heard of. She makes these most beautiful little cabochon molds. I've been showing them off on my channel recently, amongst other things. She does a lot
Yeah.
of those dichroic films and things like that. Her stuff is beautiful, and a lot of it she designs herself. And in particular, and they're right here because I've just been using them to make a flower pot, would you believe? Let me just grab them. Ooh, these.
Yeah.
These are hole making things. So if you've got any molds that you want to turn into a flower pot, you can use these to make the hole in the bottom, which is great.
Ah,
They're actually meant for making the holes in top of pendants and things like that, but they're just little rubber
saves
sucker
drilling as
things.
well. I think they look great.
Honestly, they're seriously good, and they're very suckery on the end, so you can use them to pick things up with as well, which is really good. Anyway, so she designed these. Next thing you know, J Diction have got them on their website. They've stolen her design,
Yeah.
and they have now. I presume it was her that approached them and said, "Oi, but they've now taken the adverts down. But the fact that they even did it, so to me, that's put them up there with Resiners and the whole. Remember Resiners had those fake reviews.
Mm.
Daniel Cooper had a right spout about that on his channel. It's still there. It's from about 6 months ago. If anybody
And
wants
again,
to
don't get me wrong.
on his
Again,
community tab.
being completely transparent, do I work with Resonance every now and then? Yes, I do. Because again, they've sent me some products and that they've been good to my channel. But that was all before I started working with them, to be fair. And when I found out, I was a bit surprised. But it is, I think, if I'm being honest, the Eastern sort of Asia, those sort of countries, if you look at Temu, if you look at Shein, if you look at anything like that, 90% of the products on there tend to be copies of something else or somebody else's
That's why
product.
I don't use them. That's why I don't use them.
But they're often inferior as well a lot of the time. So this is the risk.
Yes, this is why a lot of their stuff I won't use. Occasionally, I mean, I use AliExpress. They're better.
Yeah.
They're not perfect, but they're better. Because somebody messaged me once and said there's some fakes of Boo and Nicole's molds on there. Now you know they're fancy molds. I approached Boo and Nicole and they said, no, that is us. That's our outlet shop.
Okay.
Boo and Nicole are in Australia, so they obviously thought they were okay. And can I just say though, as well, yes, Resiners are in China. So are Into Resin. I have an amazing working relationship with them. And I think Let's Resin are as well. Again, cracking company to deal with. J Diction, I think, are American.
Mm. Well, it just
So
shows
it isn't necessarily
everywhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's also a rogue company in the UK that I won't go into detail because nobody that's being kept under wraps. But all I can say is I've never seen any of you use their products anyway, so don't worry about that.
But again, what you need to think of is just as soon as the mold is popular. So, for example, the latest one that caused a bit of a stir, I think, on YouTube was the Let's Resin Axolotl mold. I guarantee you, within a few months, you'll see fakes of that everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And I just won't buy them.
Again, it's so easy to make a mold. So if they order one of those molds, they can quite easily make their own version of that mold, and then they've got a mold to sell, haven't they? And I think the problem is with molds in particular, I read somewhere that there isn't an actual copyright on molds unless you've got a specific patent to that pattern of that particular mold worldwide, which is a lot of money to invest in a product that you don't know how many you're going to sell. And I think that's why a lot of them aren't patented.
Sally's just said there's already one on Temu, but it says it's the Let's Resin one. I don't know whether Let's Resin deal with Temu.
I don't think they do.
I didn't think they did. But then again, I didn't think Boo and Nicole dealt with AliExpress.
You have got to be careful with products.
I can find out for you.
I'll give you an example. Can you see that?
Yeah.
That is a blatant copy to me of Let's Resin's logo as an ocean white paste.
Yes, the resins on there are copies as well. Have you noticed there's it looks like the Let's Resin label and it's not?
Yeah.
Bear with
this
me.
is so inferior compared to the original paste. So if I try and do a bloom with this, I need to use probably 5 to 10 drops of this versus 1 drop of the Let's Resin actual ocean white pigment paste. So again, it's just an example of where the copy products, they do very well in the marketing and labeling and things like that to make it look genuine, but they just don't work as well. It's not worth the risk.
They don't last as long. I've got some Temu molds, ones that I know that aren't copies that you can't get from anywhere else. So I had to, but I don't like it. If you can hear me typing away, I'm actually just messaging Let's Resin now. I doubt we'll get an answer while we're on air, but I will let you know as soon as we do. How do you spell axolotl? AXOL. AXOLOTYL. Yes, it's not spell checked me on it. I think I've got it right. Oh no, it has now. One. Is it really yours? I didn't think you dealt with Temu. Didn't think you dealt.
Maybe they are, though. Maybe they've expanded because, again, it is, no matter what you say about it, it's one of the biggest shopping platforms in the world, isn't it? So,
well, it is, but it would be nice to know, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Try and spell things right, remembering that I don't know what their English is like. To be fair, they always sound like they've got pretty good English. They're sending me a couple of other things coming soon. Black ultraviolet curing resin.
Oh, that'll be useful.
I know, right? Yeah, and it's in a big bottle as well, not one of the little ones that you get in the coloured
Oh,
packs.
okay.
Not available in the UK yet. They're doing a set of white and black, but at the moment it's only available in the US. But they're going to send me one,
Yeah.
and also they're making there's a new product coming out. It'll be available on Amazon in early March. It's a rechargeable wireless UV light, and it's a big one.
Oh, okay.
Portable, time settings, all the usual sort of things, but it's an extra big one, apparently.
Oh,
They're sending me
interesting.
that. They're sending me that. Right, I'll leave that on my
Well, I've
screen
got a
just in
couple
case
of
I forget.
videos that I need to do actually from Let's Resin. They've sent me the acrylic
Mm.
marker set, so I'm looking
Yes, and
forward to
me. I haven't
playing
tried
with
them
that.
yet. Mm.
And I haven't done anything yet. I've got some good ideas with it, what I'm going to do. And they've also sent me some of their deep pour as well. So I talked to them about the table that I did, and that I was really happy with the Apex deep pour that I used. And they was like, "Did you know that
It's
we do
lovely
a deep
stuff.
pour?" I was like, "No, to be honest." And
Oh,
they've
yeah,
sent
Let's
me some
Resin
of
have
that
got quite
set.
a range. Unfortunately, that's the one I turned out to be allergic to.
Really?
So,
Oh
yeah, and
dear.
it's not their fault, it's just me. I've got a weird allergy. It's
Yeah.
not their fault. You'll know from the amount of people you see use the Let's Resin. It's really good resin. It's just
Yeah.
that I just had this weird reaction to it. But, yeah, I mean, I use a mass of their stuff. I love their ultraviolet lights. I love the fact that they actually solve existing problems.
Yeah.
So when they came out with the double-sided one, I thought, "That's
I
genius. I've
still
been
need to
looking for
get one of
something
those.
like that." Really, I've got 2. They're so
Yeah.
good, I bought myself another. I actually paid for and bought myself another one. They're bringing them out in purple soon.
Oh, okay.
I think Claire's got the purple one already, actually. It's available in America, so I'm onto purple one now.
Lisa's asking me as well, what's the best Sinker White I've used? I'm presuming you mean alcohol ink Sinker White for like the Petri effect and things like that. So correct me if I'm wrong, because you might mean an ocean white pigment paste for the blooms, which is different.
Give me another
But
drink.
the best one I've used is, again, talking about them, Let's Resin. Their Sinker White for me is the best, and their alcohol inks that I've used personally. I find their Sinker White, as long as you don't go more than 1 drop per sort of color when you're dropping your inks, it gives me the best Petri effect, if that's what you mean, Lisa.
I concur. That was a big word for this time of night.
Yeah, indeed.
I like the Let's Resin Sinker White. They also do it in bigger bottles.
Yeah,
So
that's what I
if you
use, and then just put it
yeah,
in the
in the
drip
little
bottles.
ones. Yeah. So if you use a lot of it, if you're doing a lot of blooms and things, it's or Petri effect.
Yeah.
Then that's the yeah, I'd recommend that one too. I've also got just looking for it. Nope, don't know where it is. Pouring your heart out.
Bloom
White
paste.
bloom paste. Yeah, that I'm trying as well.
I-
I just can't do blooms. We're gonna have to have a bloom
if I'm
challenge
being honest with my
sometime.
blooms, I
Mm.
use 3. So I use the Let's Resin Ocean White pigment paste. I think that works really well. It's
Mhm.
quite heavily concentrated, so the key is don't use a lot. You probably need a drop for the amount that you typically pour in a bloom, and that's it. Otherwise, it's too heavy.
You don't make it opaque completely, do you? I think you
No,
have to be
you
able to
want it
see
like
through it a
skimmed
little bit.
milk is the way that I'd sort of.
Yeah.
So if you've got a stick, you want to still be able to just see it through it.
We can have another go soon because I've got my crystal edge molds. I've made a batch recently because I had a few
But
orders. So I'm gonna
interestingly,
try 'em
I was
another
just
way.
going to say the Supreme White as well from Just For You Online. That
Yeah.
works really well as well. But all I do with that is because I can't really picture a drop of it, is I just dip in my stick and then mix it round, and that's it. Whatever's left on the
Yeah.
stick.
That's the one I typically use. Is it it's on my is it on my windowsill? Oh, hang on, there's another drink appearing. No, that was you see, I filmed that one a couple of days ago, Sally. So it's not. I don't know where it is now. Hello.
Yeah, that's Lisa. That's the one that I
Ew,
was talking about. Actually, I think it's
where is it?
yeah.
It'll turn
No,
up.
I was right. It's Supreme White is the one that I use.
Yeah, I've got a couple of tubs of that on the go. It goes I don't know how I ended up with 2 tubs. Probably because I mislaid one. That's what usually happens.
But honestly, with your white,
It's
you can
awful
use
stuff.
any. I've even used a cheap, and I know you shouldn't, a cheap one that I bought from Temu before I got some quality ones.
Mm,
And it's not that complicated. As soon as you get it right, you'll be able to mix it every time. And I do it normally by sight now, and I'm like, that needs a tiny drop more, or that
mm,
doesn't need as much. And you just get used to it. But the key is most people at this, when they first start doing blooms, they'll put
mm.
far too much in. So it's like
I
the
think I
ocean
did.
white, they'll put like 5 or 6
Mm.
drops of that in, and then it will just sink to the bottom.
I think that's what I did. It just completely. So I'm just trying to find some. This place is so cluttered. I can't find anywhere to put the previous glass
Have
down.
you seen this as well? Look at this. It's my latest bloom in
Nice.
my handmade mold with that lovely shine. And I'll
Oh,
tell
you
you what,
managed to get the handmade mold together?
yeah, I
'Cause
made it, yeah.
it took me forever to get it right.
And
I
that's
think
the
I'd do it.
crystal edge. And don't get me wrong, I wish I hadn't have used the cheap silicone putty from Temu, because I used 2 full jars to get 1 coaster mold, when really I should have been able to get 3 or 4 out of it. So I've learnt my lesson with that as well.
I just didn't use putty. It was just too much like hard work because
So
it
I used
cures
the
so
putty
fast.
to make a blank,
Crazy.
first of all. So that was the blank. Then I managed to use the liquid silicone to make the mold, and then poured a bloom. So yeah,
Yeah,
I was very
nice.
happy with that.
I just made a round coaster, quite a deep one, and then spent forever sticking little crystals, right, bits
Well, I
of
thought
glass.
about doing it that way, and then I thought, no, there's got to be an easy way.
Yeah, you're right. There is.
And I actually used like a real crystal, and I
Yeah,
used one of my molds that I've got,
I
which
use
is like a
glass.
diamond mold anyway, and pressed that around as well. So it had like 2 different effects.
It's good. So it's more natural if it varies.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If you use putty again, the Just For You online one is
Oh, I didn't
awesome.
know they did one.
They do, and it's purple.
Oh,
Better
okay.
still. It's lovely. I really like using that. It
Well, I
takes
think,
just very slightly longer. The Let's Resin one's good as well, but the Just For You online one just takes just fractionally longer, maybe just 1 minute or something longer to cure, which gives you just that little bit more work time, which I found really, really handy.
well, do you
But
know
yeah,
what?
and it,
Now I've done one, I really enjoyed making the mold. And I know that nobody else in the world at the minute has a coaster exactly this shape or design.
it's nice,
And
isn't it? Hang on, here's the stuff.
when you make your own molds as well, versus using cheaper molds or even quality, some of the quality molds, yeah, the shine you get is like nothing you've ever seen before.
Yeah, the nature of the silicon
It's
makes a
like
huge
glass.
difference. Yeah,
But yeah,
great, isn't it?
it's amazing.
That's the hard bit, is getting the shine on it, I found.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you know what I found? Do you want a tip on that? Do you know,
Go on.
because I found when I made this, originally this was matte on the
Mhm.
inside, and I don't know why, because it
My
shouldn't
first
have
one
been,
was.
because this wasn't matte, this was clear and a blank. But all I did is I poured a tiny bit more liquid silicone back in, because silicone bonds to
Oh,
silicone,
yeah, yeah.
and then it
Mhm.
gave me that lovely shine.
Yeah.
So
I've
there we
done that
go.
with the heart shape. That's how I did the heart shape one to get the shine on it. With
Yeah.
the original round one, Mark got a big sander on it,
Oh yeah.
and then I've polished it with that. Oh, excuse me. What's it called? Flitz polish. I got that from Little Windows, but you can get it on Amazon as well.
Yeah.
But that's really good. That was just the final shine. That's how I did that
But I've
one.
got
But
so many ideas now of different molds I want to make that are unique.
mold making's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Really
And
is.
don't get me wrong, it took best part of nearly 3 days to make that mold. But the greatest
Mm,
thing is, as I said, nobody
it's a
else
lot
has it.
quicker than it took me.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, a lot quicker. It took me
I
weeks
think
because
I think
it just
again,
kept
you've got
going wrong.
your Kermit mold and things like that. And I think
That's a
they're
real
so
cheat.
unique.
It was just lucky that design isn't patented anywhere.
Well,
Um,
somebody said to me, "Do you know the Crystal Mohawk skull that I did?
mm,
Why don't I make that a mold of that?"
if you've changed it enough from the original, because my other
Yeah,
Kermit ones, I've got a warty one and a shiny one and all that sort of thing. If you've changed it substantially enough from the original,
yeah,
then you could.
yeah.
It's
So
whether that
who
seems to
knows?
be substantial enough, but it looks pretty substantial to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen another skull with a mohawk on.
No, I mean, I have got a bit of a legal background because of my previous career, but copyright laws is something I am absolutely not an expert on. Contract law
Yeah.
and torts and things, yes, but not. But I do know that if you've changed it substantially enough, it's just what is substantial enough.
Yeah. And if people can be bothered to argue for the sake of a mould, um, or pay the legal fees.
Well, nobody's come at me because of the Kermit mould so far. She says, touch wood.
Yeah. So, but I'm conscious that we've gone over 2 hours now. So, last couple of minutes, guys. Any more
Final
questions?
questions.
But before we go to those final questions as well, the live is going to be back on Tuesday next week as normal. Hopefully, I won't get this lurgy back, and it'll be back at normal. And we've got Michelle from Glitz and Glitter confirmed as coming on.
That should be good.
So that should be entertaining as well. I've seen a few of her videos, and I think her partner's going to be coming on as well.
Oh, is he? Don.
Because he features in a lot of her videos. So hopefully we're going to have both of them on the live as well.
They're quite a double act. That should be awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
So it should be entertaining. But last chance for any questions.
I hope we didn't miss any. There were so many coming through thick and fast.
I don't think we did, because we had Lisa keeping track on them. And I was keeping a track on them on the Discord. So I don't think we missed any.
Thanks, Lisa. That was a great idea, by the way. Really good way of doing it.
Massive help. And also, Lisa, the coaster that you won, I haven't posted it because I was poorly, but that is going to be on its way to you tomorrow. So you will have my resin heart. There you go. And here's a cheesy dad joke for you as well, just to finish us off. So, do you know how I'm single? This Valentine's Day, I couldn't say I love you to anyone, but I could say I love flu.
Oh dear. You could have got Reggie a Valentine's card.
I could have, but again, I was ill, so there was no Valentine's Day for me whatsoever. It was a case of me
did he give you a
being
cuddle?
a shivering wreck in bed like that.
Did he give you a cuddle?
He always gives me a cuddle. I can't get him off me.
You see, what more do you need? Just one final parting shot while anybody's thinking of any final questions. On the topics of doing YouTube, you'll know I never call myself an expert on anything actually, because I'm really not. But what I have learned, I am always willing to share and keen to. And I know obviously Andy is as well, because he's on this learning curve the same as the rest of us. Keep an eye on my other channel, that YouTube for grown-ups. It has only got a couple of hundred subscribers at the moment. It's only got a few videos on it, but I am on a bit of a mission to get a load of helpful stuff for you all on there. So some of the things that we've talked about here, I'll do videos on over the next few months, so you've got something to refer back to. So any more questions that you have, please do let me know. You did all answer the question that I put on my community tab a couple of months ago, and that's where most of my material has come from. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on there. I'm going to try and work my way through all of those and really get that motoring, so it's a useful resource for everybody.
Yeah, no, brilliant. And
again, especially this game changer one. I'm not joking about that. I can't believe I've dropped on it, and that will be out.
I'm looking forward to that one.
If I get my act together, I shall share it to the YouTubers, Crafty YouTubers United first, and then 24 hours later it will go live to the rest of the world.
Okay, no, brilliant. And obviously, thank you for your time as well and coming on our extra long live tonight.
No problem. And cheers. This is alcohol-free. Gordon's
cheers.
Pink alcohol-free gin, if anybody's interested. It's lovely. And I'm not on commission.
But there we go. But
oh,
no,
bless you.
as well, if anybody's watching this after the event as well, make sure you subscribe to Tracey as well, which is Mini Scenes GB. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel as well. It'd be nice to increase those subscribers. And thank you to everyone in the audience. You know, I think we got to 35 at peak tonight, which is a new record for a live. So that was brilliant. And thank you to everyone.
Well, thank you. Good night, everyone. I'll see you all soon. Take care.
Next Tuesday.
Thanks,
see you all later.